Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Year 2, Season 2 of the community-run Onslaught series. It's the most exciting event this side of Middenheim. Ghouls, goblins, ladies, gentlemen, I hope you're ready for a thrilling day of rat slaying. I'm Corbeck, and alongside me here is my co-host, the man with the plan. It's Incan, and we will be bringing you all the action today. Truly apocalyptic proportions of excitement to be prepared for you right now. I will also be running production, just as a heads up. It's not my forte. I hope everything works. We can all pray to Sigmar that it does, but if it doesn't, please give me your most sincere benevolence, and I we'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and jump into what we have on the program today. It's going to be a pretty exciting matchup. There's going to be Tier 1 in action, which is going to be our lowest level tier. These are players who are just getting started here in the Onslaught series. They're going to be working hard to try and prove themselves at this basic bottom rung of the ladder, but that doesn't mean it's basic at all, because it's going to be very difficult indeed. But I'll leave it to Incan to give you some of the details later on. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everyone involved in the production of today's event. Thank you for being part of the Vermintide community. This tournament could not happen without so many individuals working behind the scenes to really make this jive. We got players, modders, video editors, translators, tournament organizers, my fellow shoutcasters, anyone that I don't possibly remember. This was something that I think when Vermintide started, nobody really saw coming. So it's amazing that people have been able to innovate so much and really make something of this and get these tournament series out here. And as somebody who's new here, I'm so looking forward to seeing it. I think this is the coolest concept ever, and I'm really happy to be in. But I've talked a lot. Let me give it over to Incan. I'm sure he's got some exciting words of encouragement as well.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited to see what happens here, because uniquely we are using a community-built balance mod for this tournament, so that's pretty unique compared to everything we've done before. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it will be exciting indeed. And then to just tack on one more additional thing, as on a more serious note, I would like to add that we have lots of friends here in the Vermintide community who have been negatively affected by the devastating flooding that happened in Germany earlier this year. Friends who have had to evacuate, friends who have lost their homes, friends who are currently in hospital fighting to stay healthy. Because of this, we will be donating 60% of all subs and donations during this 3-day event. Remember, this is just day one, to charities that offer aid to those who are affected by the floods, and to all of our friends in hospital as well who could directly benefit from some of your generosity. Your contributions will be greatly appreciated, and my lawyers over at the Temple of Verena have me state that donations are managed by Ishka, but 100% are utilized for the Fight to Tide event, and accounting statements for donation transparency are available upon request. But before we hop in here to our teams, and let us hope that we can see those teams playing in action soon, I just want to give it over to Incan really quick. He's sort of part lore master, part master engineer. He knows everything. He's woven it all together and helped create this. So what can we be expecting here today, Incan?
So we've got 4 maps. We've got Empire in Flames, Into the Nest, Righteous Stand, and Engines of War. And we're looking at just Cataclysm 1, Deathwish, Onslaught. So what we'll be seeing is teams that are a bit more new to Modded Realm, trying to tackle the sort of beginning stages of these difficulty mods, and should be pretty exciting.
Are there any sort of just Cattle 1 Onslaught? Somebody said in the chat. Yeah, just Cattle 1. Nothing too horrific. Are there any balance changes we should be looking out for here in Season 2?
Yeah, definitely. So we should be looking out for Pyromancer and Bounty Hunter in particular. They received quite significant buffing. Especially Pyromancer, I think we'll see a lot of that, assuming that teams have picked her up.
Okay, well, that will give us something to look forward to then. Let's go ahead and go take a look at one of our teams in action over here. It'll be Nico Guardians, and they are powering their way through Empire in Flames at the moment. Looks like they've just started off there, but, I mean, looking at this team composition here, Ancan, what do you make of that?
It's a pretty straightforward team comp. The Zealot is a bit unique. Most teams usually opt for Witch Hunter Captain these days, but Zealot is no slouch. Grail Knight is very standard, and Sister of the Thorn is also pretty standard, but she has been nerfed in this balance mod, so
Well, it's
that'll be
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, Sister of the Thorn, I think, remains one of those classes that just feels so dominant, right? And like, it's just kind of intense. I'm not a huge elf player myself, so I can't really speak to it that much. But looks like already an unfortunate down coming in right there. The Ironbreaker just not able to survive the pressure of the Horde. And if you've never seen Onslaught in action, well, you are getting a fine taste of it right here on the front streets of Usagen. And I do apologize for the quality of the stream. Unfortunately, that is on the VODs and not on my end because the quality has dropped on its own. You can see, though, that they're just trying to push forward here. We've got other teams that we can go check out as well, but we'll see if they can battle their way through this initial horde at least. Kind of just plowing in here at the moment. You see those Storm Vermin mixed in there as well. That's another feature of that as well. Very unfortunate indeed, but a good snipe there at the end to take out that Flame Rat and push on. It's interesting, I will say, Incan, to see how strategy changes at this difficulty. As somebody who doesn't usually play at this level, it is a bit different indeed to see teams go out here. What's like the biggest strategic change you think as you step up to this difficulty level?
It's definitely the positioning. In the base game, there's a lot less stuff, so you can be a lot more fast and loose with how you deal with things and where you put yourself and your team. Whereas in this mode, since you are swarmed just about all the time, you have to be a lot more tight-knit and pick and choose your moments.
Well, we're going to transition over to another squad here. Here is, I believe, the Milkers, who are fighting their way in through the gates of Utsugin. They have, fortunately, been gifted with a little bit more of an easy run in terms of the daylight. That's good. Everything's a little bit clearer in the light of day, as I think a band once said one time. But powering through there on the Foot Knight, Witch Hunter Captain also making an appearance here. You've got Shade in as well, and then Unchained rounding it out. Unchained is an interesting choice. How common is it to see one of those running at this level?
Decently common these days after the buffs tour that happened last year. They've adjusted her so her crowd control is a lot more significant now, and she's also always been a bit of a significant support with the way her ult works.
You're referring to Bonbon? Is that the one?
Yes,
Bomb?
That would be the talent.
the eternal tongue twister of Vermintide 2 right there. Never ever able to quite pronounce that right, unfortunately, in my world. But I'm gonna pop us over to Frogs here. Frogs with a question mark and a bunch of exclamation points, because they are on kind of a solo run right now with a very low health dwarf, and unfortunately we swap over, and suicide is the option, unfortunately, right there. But hey, it do be that way sometimes when you think you've got not a lot of choice indeed. So we'll transition back over to the Milkers, who do seem to be putting in a pretty good shift, or at least a pretty good shift at a high quality, so we can actually see what's going on, because that was something I think we were struggling with a little bit right there. But they're going to wait for that Storm Vermin patrol to pass by, and I can't necessarily blame them for that. You don't really want to run into a battering ram of foul smells and armor if you can possibly avoid it, so they'll just wait a second there and then push forward and take the underground route here through Usagen, which has always been interesting to see. For some reason, I always end up going the other way, but again, Legends plebs, so usually there's being forced to grab a book as part of that combo. They're going to kite that Chaos Knight just a little bit here as well, push forward into these Marauders, try and bring them down. Just a constant stagger coming out from the shield is what you like to see from a Chad Foot Knight, keeping his team alive, keeping the enemy off balance, doing what he needs to do in that tanking role. And I mean, stagger, so important in Can, really comes up big. But before I turn it over to you, big thank you there to Exonymia for those 10 tier 1 subs. Of course, remember, all 60% of all donations will go to charities to fight the tide, so thank you Thank you very much indeed for all of that. And, well, they're back to the action on the screen there. A big charge actually knocking back that Chaos Knight and just setting the stage, setting up the buffet for the rest of the squad to come forward and get those kills. Beautiful stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. Foot Knight is another one of the classes that was buffed, so it's interesting to see it come out. Especially with the shield. Shields are uncommon in this mode, but with the buffs, it's probably going to see a little bit more viability. So that's really cool to see. Shade as well was nerfed, so that's also interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, Shade used to, I mean, when I first started playing, Shade was like the thing, right? Like everybody had to run Shade for boss killing. That was like the elf that you always had, but I'm glad that, you know, you changed it up a little bit. And definitely I think this is one of our more off the wall team comps, but interestingly, I think of all the teams we can, you know, really watch playing right now, they're doing probably the best, having made it all the way down here to the Count's Wine Cellar, and continuing to sort of push forward here. But look at that chunky pack of Chaos bodies waiting for him. A good little dismantle of that right there, though the sword and shield coming in big, and the rest of the team with the very impressive follow-up there to assist. We'll go take a look really quick at Stairs Go Down, who are still kind of stuck out. By the way, I love that team name. These Stairs Go Down. Stuck here fighting outside of Unsigan. And man, I tell you what, Incan, the presence of those Chaos Warriors, those elites, those beefy dudes in the middle of these packs really does add an element of difficulty, and it's perfectly illustrated right there on screen. A big old swipe there, and well, what are you gonna do? You're down almost instantaneously, and the rest of the team, they have to try and fight it out. Saltspire goes in for the res, but it will not manifest, and they've got another, I think, team member down that they did manage to res, but still a very dangerous situation indeed.
Yeah, for sure. The Chaos Warriors are a big problem, especially for teams that are just starting out, because Chaos Warrior DPS is not always easy to factor into a team comp. And they just produce a lot of disruption for normal patterns of gameplay where, you know, your cleave is getting stopped, they're difficult to stagger, you can't really see over them, and they are just really beefy.
Well, we got a boss fight over here from Milkers. I feel like I should have like one of those DJ buttons like boss fight. It's a rat ogre down here in the cellar, and it is a bit of a gnarly fight indeed, because there was a pack here just a few seconds ago. Big old horde. They managed to clear it out now, so they've isolated the rat ogre, and they will hopefully bring him down like a bunch of rats on a hound. It's just a matter of time, and they are slowly working him away. Great, beautiful kiting right there from the Shade, by the way, to kind of just keep back and forth there on that rat ogre and keep him off balance, and they will do so, and they will take it down and continue pushing forward. And again, they really are the most successful. Back over to Stairs Go Down, where it's all on the wizard here, the Unchained, trying to hold on, running for their life, getting chased by a horde in a scene that looks like it's straight out of Indiana Jones. But alas, in Indiana Jones, there will be no real fortunate. Well, there's no life lure in Indiana Jones. Let's just put it at that. He didn't get eaten by a Nurgle sorcerer at the tail end. So back over to Milkers it is, who continue to persevere here, the explorers of this particular level. But you'll see the storm coming in here could create a little bit of problems, and it will actually catch, I think, our valiant Foot Knight here for a split second. Though he'll dance in and out around it and push away and continue fighting here at the back end. But I mean, just look at the pressure, Incan. That's a lot of bodies in a very small space.
Yeah, indeed, and it's this isn't even the worst it can get. It can get a lot worse than this, but they're handling it quite well. The Rat Ogre fight they did earlier as well went quite well. They executed that very well with the timing and stuff. You kind of want to keep those big fights between hordes if you can help it, and find a good spot where you won't get surrounded.
Very understandable indeed here, but I mean, a bit of a slog. We'll go take a look at one of our other sides here, Nico Guardians, who have pushed up, and well, actually, that is the stream that has the the terrible quality. I want to show them really quick because they deserve their due, and they're doing quite well, but we won't stay on them for too long because I can understand, you know, the internet being what it is and eyes being what it is. It's all good. I mean, I'm happy to see it in action, and I do love watching a good Iron Breaker double hammer is just kind of getting in there and chonking away. That flame rat causing a little bit of problem at the top of the stairs, but not enough of the problem for the Grail right there, who just powers his way right through that. And I mean, how do you feel about the state of Grail Knight here as we go ahead and flip over to the Rat Bonkers?
Grail Knight is in a really good spot. Some of his talents are a bit sad, but I mean, that's okay. He's just a really solid DPS to bring because he can take out those Chaos Warriors, which, as we said earlier, they can be a problem. And he's also just a very solid frontline. All around, can't really go wrong. You do give up sniping though to bring him, but that's a worthy trade-off for most people.
All right, see, that was a test because I was a hardcore Bretonnian player. I bought my first Matronians when I was 10. By the way, and I'm 31 now, so it was a long time. But man, when they killed him, when the Grail Knight came out, I basically cried. That was like that was a day. It was truly holy, but absolutely beautiful to see the Grail Knight in the game. Though I feel like I want to play him more than I do, and I think I get really worried about the sniping thing. I agree that it is a fair trade-off, but when you're playing with like Randy's, God bless him, sometimes it's better to be able to kill specials on your own than to have to just kind of run around. But as you can see on stream here, it's looking a little bit rough for this team. They're trying their level best to get out of this one. The dagger and the sword combo coming in big here for the Sister of the Thorn, and it looks like they will be able to push through, but the health there on the battle or on the wizard at the bottom looking a little bit ugly. But let's go back over to Milkers, because again, Milkers continue to be really impressive with their slightly strange composition. They are all the way at the barrel stage here of Empire in Flames, currently battling their way through a horde. The Blunderbuss just clearing out that giant chunk of bodies, but look at this. Oh my lord, that is a lot. And what a giant shoulder charge there from the Foot Knight to put everybody back on the back foot, but there's no escape. It's a blind alley. They're just backing all the way down. They've got nowhere to go. Again, another charge just clearing the way, but isn't going to be enough. The shield staggers coming in as well, but there's Chaos Knights folding into one another, forming some sort of horrific Nurgle Chimera, as yet another massive shoulder charge there, just bonking away as many dudes as possible. He just keeps them staggered. This is absolutely beautiful. He's got an ult potion in the pocket too if he wants to use it, and really he's carrying his team, and a friendly Skaven actually going to help there. The little flame rat getting in on the action. They have managed to thin that horde in can. Oh my lord.
That Foot Knight is coming through very strong. The crowd control he's bringing is very powerful.
Can's like making notes for the next set of balances. Foot Knight coming through very strong. Charge too good. Take away. But I mean, they've still got so much to cut through here, and this is one of those sections that I think has doomed many a team, right? Trying to collect all these barrels and get them forward, and it is just it can be a real challenge. But the Chad Foot Knight is making a huge difference right here at the moment, and it's a pleasing sight to see indeed, them working so effectively right here. Let's go check on Frogs. I don't really. You tell me, Yankan. What's a question mark, exclamation point, question mark? How do you give that? Like, how would you say that?
Good question. I would say frogs.
Frogs? Frogs. There we go. Frogs. Like you're startled, as if you didn't expect there to be a plague of frogs coming in your way. But they are on the outskirts of Usingen. This is, I think, their second attempt on this particular mission. They're pushing their way forward here as best they can. A little bit of dance and dodge there with that particular Chaos Knight. The Moonfire Bow being used, and talk about a weapon that really sort of catapulted itself into the top of the meta. I mean, the Moonfire Bow. What do you make of that in general?
We've nerfed it for this tournament, but on live, it's overpowered. There's no two bones about it. And in the tournament, even though it has been heavily nerfed, I will say, it's still very effective, and that's why we're still seeing it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I know that you guys made balance changes to try and tone it down just a little bit, but it is one of those weapons where it's almost like if you don't bring it, you're probably doing yourself a little bit of a disservice, right? If you are capable of doing so. The long bomb snipe going in right there, beautifully timed to take down, I believe, that Stormweaver. Another one jumping in its presence almost immediately, though, so no rest for the Wicked. A poison wind globe impacting there as well, and he'll get the old double tap and be taunt the danger of throwing poisonous orbs at people. It's not very nice, is it, Incan? You're not supposed to do that.
That's stinky business.
Stinky business. Yeah, it's very, very, very true indeed. Though I imagine that the stench is perhaps the least of your worries in that particular situation if you're getting hit by an acidic cloud. But gonna just go take a quick look at Milkers here because I'm afraid the dream is coming to an end. You can see our Chad Foot Knight has been caught by a pack rat and is being hoisted into the air. Still 3 teammates alive though. They're trying to fight their way over to him, but I feel like it will be a alas, vain effort. They're really kind of stuck, and poor Chad Foot Knight, it looks like that it will be the end of him. So an absolute tragedy right there. But can the 3 teammates hold on? Again, Milkers really have been the forefront here. They have done a really good job. They're the only team, I think, so far out of our squads that have done enough to get through. They do have a drop right there, the Witch Hunter Captain going down, but nothing that they can't handle. Unfortunately, the Storm coming in right there, the Blightstormer making their life a little bit more difficult, forcing them upstairs into the top of the cheese dispensary. I don't know, what is the technical term for cheese store? I can't be that simple.
I think dispensary is a good way to go with it.
Cheese dispensary. Dispensary, my apologies. The cheese dispensary, and the cheese dispensary defensive strat right there, the old cheese strat working out okay, and they will actually manage to get the Chad Foot Knight back up. So the dream remains alive here for Milkers. The Chad Foot Knight in big in the middle there, doing a little bit of knockdown and keeping them going. Let's go ahead and take a look over here at Rat Bonkers, who are powering their way into the ruined inn. All sorts of fire. There's a plague rat in there somewhere, tons of storm vermin, and just a solid press. One might say a tide of vermin actually on the other side, and none of that being made any easier by the presence of this giant storm fiend, which is of course coating the ground in hellish warp fire and just making everybody's lives that much more miserable, as is its wont and, dare I say, duty. It keeps going here on the fight, though. The Sister of the Thorn will not give this one up, kind of playing tight in the corner here, but doing their best. And man, that crowd control staff Incan, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. It's got a nice little niche, being able to just lift things up like that, especially Chaos Warriors. And specials as well, being able to just yoink the Blightstormer or Hook makes life real easy.
Indeed. Well, the Storm Fiend not being able to be lifted into the air, instead remains a bit of a nuisance here at the moment. But I know if I had to fight a boss, he's the one I would choose, I feel. I say that both in terms of in real life and in the game. What about you, Incan? Who are you going for? If you gotta fight a boss, who are you going for?
Oh, I'm going for the Storm Fiend. I already live in a world of fire as is.
You know what? We were just talking about that, but yeah, as 2 natives of regions that get a little hot around this time of year, yeah, it's just in a direct fiery manner. I think we can both sort of relate. Yes, you're right, 100%. Anyway. We'll take another quick look here at Milkers, and Milkers have actually managed to destroy the manor. So they are cooking with gas right here. You can't see it, but it is burning, and they've just managed to clear the big horde that comes in through the gate right there. Sorry, I saw the chat of fight the Minotaur. Yeah, good luck. I mean, that's the one that I would least like to fight, I think. But I could probably. You dance around the fire rat a little bit. I don't think the Minotaur is much for dancing, what with the hooves and all.
I'd go for the Minotaur just because he's probably the tastiest.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, yes, theoretically, yes, 100%. I don't disagree with you. Probably does taste the best. But should you be eating Chaos Tainted meat in the first place? the answer is probably going to be a no. And if any of the witch hunters are listening to the stream, Incan obviously just being funny. He has no intention of devouring nice, juicy Minotaur steaks on the back end of the broadcast. That's definitely not what we had planned for lunch. But anyway, the fight going on here for Milkers. We'll see if they can finally get their way out. They're just basically CCing this horde as best they can. The gas rat coming in over the top there, but nothing to slow them down. They will go through. It looks like the way is clear. The heavens have opened. I think they might be able to just sprint this one out and get the big dub at the end of this. Just charging their way through here. Absolute power performance. The ult potion leading the way. Oh, you love to see it. He's through. And I think they are the first team to complete there. So the Chad Foot Knight really coming in big. I love to see that. That was great.
No, he's a bloody battering ram.
He's a bloody battering ram. He says it himself. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But we'll hop back over to the Rat Bonkers now. They have fought their way up here towards kind of the midpoint of the map. They're doing quite well. Unfortunately, they do have the sort of... I don't know. This is actually a good question for you, Incan, because you're much wiser in the ways of this than I am. What do you think about the difference between daytime and nighttime, and does that have an actual tangible impact on play?
I think it depends on how used to it you are. Like, I think it's more the weather effects that would mess with me, like rainy maps, things like that.
Yeah.
Like Athel in the rain, it can become very difficult to see things after a certain distance.
Athel at any time, actually, some might say. Is truly my personal version of hell. But that's going to be it one day. Just me having to run Athel with randoms forever. But
you're not alone on that.
Yeah. And they want to get all the Grims and Tomes, so you have to do the whole, like, you have to take a trip. It's not just like you run through. There's an odyssey involved. But the Rat Bonkers doing a good job here of kind of powering through and really not slowing down here at all. You see the Sprite staff doing some good work right there. Should I say Spite staff? A little bit of damage right there. An assassin pops his head out to see what's going on and immediately regrets the series of life choices that led him there. And well, they didn't trade him for that as Black Pagoda, I'll tell you that for free, but they are down and out now into the cellar where, of course, some enemies are waiting for them, but got a little bit of a string going here. So, Incan, I'll ask you kind of a generalist question because, again, you know very well. As someone who is not super familiar with this difficulty level, what is your general strategy for kind of like kiting, when to run, when to fight, etc.?
It's kind of more or less based on the horde timers and things like that. So you want to be able to choose your moments where you're not getting actively swarmed while you're moving. It's also a bit dependent on where you're holding. If you're in a spot where you can't handle the pressure, then you obviously have to move. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit cerebral in that manner, where you kind of need to know what you can and can't handle before you get to a spot. And it's the moments where you miscalculate that where things get interesting.
Right, indeed. Well, some of our teams have managed to sort of make the transition over to our next map. So as much as I'm enjoying kind of watching this very calculated gameplay here on these stairs, they're doing a spectacular job kind of fighting their way through, making full use of the crowd control. Let's go take a look at what's happening over here on the side of Stairs Go Down, who are currently fighting on a bridge a la Casa Doom against a horde of Ratman, which of course did not make the initial cut there for Lord of the Rings, but they have managed to cut their way through this horde. They are passing. The Ratmen not doing so great on the denial. The Plague Rats trying their best there on the back line, kind of coming in as the intercepting tackle, but it did not work out. They are through and clear. Just a couple of Storm Vermin there, waiting to see them into the end. And it's interesting to see, a little bit of the Dwarf map so far. How exactly is it working with these maps, Incan, in terms of when you kind of transition over?
So these maps are pretty interesting. Like, Into the Nest is Skaven only, right? So you're only dealing with those, so you can build your entire team around just fighting Skaven. So that makes life a lot simpler. But you do have a Lord fight at the end, so that also throws a bit of a spanner in the works. So unless you're prepared for nuking him, which it looks like this team is not, that fight could get pretty interesting. But I don't know what their practice or strats look like, so I guess we'll see.
God, I love the fact that there are practice and strats for Vermintide. It's a world that I never ever thought would exist, and it's beautiful. It makes me so happy. It fills my little Warhammer nerd heart with joy to see that done. But they've done a good job here of kind of cutting their way through. They're going to go ahead and drop down and continue forward here. And I agree with you. They're not really set to quote nuke the boss, as you said. And yes, to address the rat in the room, they do have a very adorable rat picture there on the side. He is plotting and planning, as is his Skaven wants, and hopefully planning a victory here for the team. But really quickly, they deserve the look. I'm going to go take a look here at Nico Guardians. Again, I apologize, but, I know they're in the chat. I know they're watching. I know they want to see a little bit of their action. They deserve it. And we'll see as they kind of tear into this horde here. They've about reached close to the midpoint here of Usakin, just flailing away with those double hammers. And all credit indeed as they sort of power through this horde. But I do, again, apologize for the stream quality. But as I said, they earned this. They fought their way through. They should get a little bit of the action as well. And yes, the Minecraft overhaul. But if somebody recreated the entire map of Usakin in Minecraft, I'd be genuinely quite impressed. So do go ahead and share that if you have it, as they will continue to power through here. And, well, there you see they're kind of stuck in the mid-ground, but they might be able to fight their way out of this one in can. Let's go take a look really quick at Rat Bonkers, who have fought their way up through the market, but are running into just a little bit of trouble. So, I mean, we've been flipping through streams for about a half hour now. What do you mean? The Ironbreaker just needs glasses. I'm dead. Yeah, that's the problem. He forgot his glasses at home. Oh darn. He needs that one with the little like monocle, the helmet with the monocle. But what do you think is sort of separating these teams at this point in time? Do you think it's just strategy, or do you think it's a compositional difference, or just play style?
I think it's honestly it's the boring answer, but probably also the correct one. It's probably just a mix of all of them. For example, with that last comp we just looked at with the Zealot and the Ironbreaker and the Grail Knight, that's not the highest DPS comp in the world, but it is really beefy, so they can kind of just roll through with the punches, as it were. But when we're looking at teams with like the Sister of the Thorn and the Witch Hunter Captains and things like that, then it becomes a lot more like they're just trying to kill their way through. And then with the team that we saw that seems to be having the most success, they are going for a more balanced approach using the crowd control of the Foot Knight, and then using that to make room for all their DPS.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think, like you said, it's the boring answer, but it is the correct one, right? To a certain extent, it's a lot of factors that go into this, and I mean, this is this team right here we see fighting through the backside of Usingen. I mean, they're one of our last ones to kind of continue to power through most of the other teams that we have on the stream, and we're doing our best. By the way, a lot of these teams are kind of on different sort of time zones and whatnot. This is a international tournament after all, so we get a lot of different types. For example, I had to wake up at like 7:30 in the morning, and God only knows what time it is for Incan. He's a real hero.
It's 2:30 a.m. for me right now.
2:30 a.m. Let's go. Absolute champion. But this is our kind of one of our last teams here, still fighting through Usagen. A couple of our other squads have managed to push on over to the Hall of the Dwarves there, so they're making their own way through. Milkers is over there right now. Frogs is over there, and I believe Stair Goes Down is actually kind of leading the pack right now on that map. So let's go ahead and take a look at where they are. They're just about through the Kron Cause across the bridge, kind of fighting their way along. They'll go ahead and just take out a gas rat, easy as you please. The again, Sister of the Thornstaff coming in big there has really been kind of a clutch play for this team, and it's so fascinating as you go higher up these levels, right? You really begin to see the super big value of CC just as a tool, which is, I think, somebody, coming from a lower level of play is not something I always think about in Can, as important as it is.
Yeah, so it's a bit interesting how, in a bit of a counterintuitive sort of way, most of the time that Onslaught has been a thing, or Deathwish has been a thing rather, since that's where all the stagger resistance comes from, crowd control has actually been a little bit difficult to come by, because things are more resistant, right? But when you have these things like Foot Knight or this Life Staff, and someone just went down, oh dear.
Yeah.
Um,
Not just one someone, multiple someones have gone down. It's all turned to ruins. It's ashes in their mouths. It's just one brave dwarf ranger with his I believe cog pistol right there, trying to fight his way through. He's getting chased by a hook rat. He's got a barrel in there. Oh, it's not enough. Wait, will the detonation free him? It does. Oh no, he's dead. Oh, I thought there was a moment.
He was almost there.
He was almost there. I saw that barrel kind of go flying up, right, and I was like, this is it. This will be the moment, and I was really hoping that it would explode and free him from that, but alas, it were not to be. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Milkers instead, who have managed to get all the way up to the forge.
But yeah, so on that, like, with the crowd control thing, the Life Staff and Foot Knight are really big at the moment because they don't have to deal with any restrictions. They can crowd control anything. So that's the interesting tweak we're seeing now.
Yeah, no, I feel you indeed, and yes, cog pistol. I did say that. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It does have a little cog, and it is a pistol. It's what I call it. I don't know. You should use the cog pistol. I'll memorize the name, though, I promise, for the next time. But a little bit of a clear here up on top of the forge, just kind of using that verticality to their advantage. Yes, cog pistol. That's the Tillian pronunciation, actually, right there. But a good little charge there. Unfortunately, catches them kind of as they were in the motion of coming over the lip, so it doesn't quite work, and they will continue the fight right there and just hack and slash. I mean, they're doing a very good job of clearing it out, but at what point in time do you just kind of bite the bullet and go in? And well, I guess we have the answer right there, because Karan Kaz appears on the screen, and they will carry on forward here as best they can with the kind of small horde that they're getting here. It's generally not that bad for them in Can. They seem to have kind of a clear runway at the moment.
Yeah, they're pulling things as they go to spots where they can fight it easily, and then once they clear up, they're moving. It's a very calculated and smart way to go about it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, using terrain, right, always advantageous to use that to the best of your abilities, and they did a good job right there, and they've thinned a lot of the horde here, and that has kind of allowed them to get across the middle. But the assassin coming out of nowhere, whoa! He graduated top marks there at Eshin Assassin School. I didn't see that coming, but you do see the Storm Fiend coming, because it spares no one, and it does make its presence known with a giant wall of green flame right there as it continues to push forward. All warp flame all the time, really, is the nature of the Storm Fiend. He's got the charge in the pocket here, does the Foot Knight, if you want to use it, but they seem quite happy to just kind of beat on it from multiple sides, like the scene towards the end of the Shaun of the Dead right there. The Storm Fiend, poor Storm Fiend, can't really figure it out. And actually, I was going to say that this is impressive, but this is just bullying. That Storm Fiend, oh my lord. Vat grown there by Clan Boulder. Handcrafted and then released into this dwarven tunnel, only to be surrounded by 4 dudes and just beaten up. But it looks like the Unchained might be in a bit of a problem zone. Seems to be stuck in a hole that they really should not be stuck in.
That is unfortunate.
I don't necessarily know. Yeah, they got him out. I don't know how they did it, but it worked. So there we go. It clearly, even the laws of physics, the vagaries of dwarven construction, not enough to trump our heroes here as the next charge comes in from the Foot Knight. And again, that beautiful CC there on the front line doing a really good job of just keeping them disbanded. But Rat Bonkers will go back to them. They have reached the final stage here in Usagen. They are fighting it out, or very close to the final stage here in Usagen, as they sort of power forward. They've got a couple of opponents left in their way, but they are still back here, still fighting their way through this map, trying to get those barrels onto the cart as best they can. And I wouldn't even read that last Twitch comment, but know that it did elicit a chuckle from me. Got to keep the stream at a PG level. I've been clearly informed, so don't want to go over there, but it was funny. Anyway, Sister of the Thord here, kind of leading the front of the pack. They've got the Flames coming in there as well to help them out as they just sort of bunch them up in this tight spot and continue pushing forward. It looks like they will be able to complete this one down. You see that gun rat up on the top deck, just kind of releasing a hail of warp bullets, but it's not enough. I mean, the cart continuing to go here. Warriors. Some reinforcements coming in from the other direction. The Sister of the Thorn immediately moving to intercept those, and they will just kind of keep the dream alive right there. The Marauder trying to swing around with the big axe, but it won't quite manifest itself. And I mean, this is a bit of a tricky spot here in Can, because it's really easy to get separated from your party, right?
Yeah, well, we saw that earlier with the Foot Knight, right? That got hooked. When you get split up, it's very easy for people to get caught out, and you have to split in this area if you want to get all the barrels in, just because of the barrel being in the basement. You could go to there as a group, but that takes valuable time, so most teams opt to kind of split and do it that way. But these guys are a bit more split than you would want to be, with the assaults in the back, I think that was.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've regrouped. They're using that alleyway to their advantage. We've seen other teams do this today as well. You just kind of get back here and try and funnel your enemies into you as best you can. And, well, they've got a friendly flame rat there as well, who's just cooking the back of his enemies. And, hey, a gun rat's contributing. It's a lot of assistance coming in from the other Skaven side. You got to appreciate that. But now it's kind of turned into a shooting gallery, at least temporarily. The wall going up right there to protect them just a little bit. And they go back and forward here, try and chase down that gun rat. And I do think they get him. They'll go ahead and push out and get the other gun rat as well. So a spectacular triumph right there for the side of good. At least that's what I would say in Canada. It looks good. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh,
spoke too soon. just got roundhoused by a Chaos Warrior right there.
But I was going to say, it's interesting to see them using the wall as well with Sister of the Thorn. Most people usually opt for the big damage burst, whereas this team has actually opted to use the Thorn Wall, or the hedge, as I call it.
Oh man, the engineer, what can he do? He can't do anything. The hook rat comes in. Oh, absolute tragedy upon tragedy right there, as the rat bonkers are not able to finish there on the tail end of Usingen, and I feel every inch of that pain right there, folks. Unfortunate indeed. But we'll go over here and take a look at Stairs Go Down, who are currently fighting on a set of downward sloping stairs, and they're having a little bit of a difficult time with it as well. You see that grayed out picture there from the Sister of the Thorn, means that, well, they're near their god, which is not exactly the best place to be at all. They've also lost their, I believe, Foot Knight, who is down, so things getting a little harem-scarum here, but the bomb coming in big. You did mention, Incan, the necessity of kind of that, or not necessity, but the value, let's say, of that support pick, and, well, you see it illustrated right there. A little bit of a boost for the Sister of the Thorn will allow them to go ahead and push out onto the stream, and being near to God is best. Depends on very much who your god is, and how near you really want to go, at least in the context of the Warhammer universe. I'll just say it right now, the farther away from Tzeentch you can be, probably the better. But a little bit of a nasty fight here on the bridge, and man, those Storm Vermin packs are just something to be feared, even when they're not really in patrol form.
Yeah, they stack up, and the cascading running attacks they can do when you're dodging backwards, especially on some linear area like this bridge where you can really only move forward or back. It can lead to a lot of nasty situations, especially when they sort of start clipping into each other and attacks start getting sort of mixed together visually.
Yeah, it really does kind of become the problem, right? Is you get in those kind of amalgamations, those horrific chimeras of enemies who just kind of like all attack you at the same time, and you can't really, block every single attack individually. But I don't know that it was ever meant to be that way, again. But this is what you get when you start playing God, right? You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Oh, my relationship with Tzeentch is classified.
It's good to know. I'll be careful what I blaspheme about for the rest of the stream. I'll keep that in mind. As a gamer, I generally tend to fall in the category of being more on the side of Khorne, just pure rage. But I can see the appeal of the mental side of things. A little bit of mental gymnastics here, and Speaking of mental gymnastics, some gymnastics going on with a little bit of dodging here right now, trying to push their way across this bridge and give themselves the clearance they need. Beautiful little thrust right there into the face of that hook rat, puts them down for good. And they continue to churn their way forward. They are down their Foot Knight still. They have not managed to get to the point where they can bring him back into this Cavaclad, but hopefully they will get him soon. The CC coming in huge right there to just take that Flame Rat down. And really, I don't think we can overstate the value of that particular staff at this point in time. I've seen it make clutch play after clutch play today in Can. It's really been coming big in our first 45 minutes of play here.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient, and that's just a sort of fire and forget weapon. You don't really have to aim it. The range on it is incredible. We haven't seen that be highlighted yet, but you can. I actually don't know if there's even a limit on the range it has.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know either. There must be, surely. The spites don't want to fly that far.
I've seen some pretty long grabs. So.
I have as well. Yeah, I have seen some appallingly long grabs. But it came in big. I mean, we saw it right there at the end of the last one that we were watching for I believe it's Rat Bonkers. They were putting it to good use, just hauling Blightstormers up into the air and putting them down one by one. But it's been big here as well for Stairs Go Down, who have gotten a lot of value out of it. And they are doing a really good job here of kind of just powering their way through. But, I mean, you can see how those little nuggets of armor enemies really do just make such a big difference, even in just pacing, right, as you're kind of trying to fight through these hordes.
Yeah, it's partly a positioning thing too. Like with the way they're playing, they're kind of just sort of brawling through it, which can slow you down a little bit depending on how you handle it. But seeing like with the Foot Knight that went down and things like that, you kind of sometimes you just want to rush it and get your team back. So, and then once that ball starts rolling, it's hard to stop.
Well, they have managed to get the Foot Knight back into it. Sort of Crom there has returned to the fray, so they are at a full 4-stack here as they fight their way down towards the bridge. And, well, look at that. It's our old friend, the Storm Fiend, who seems to be a popular boss today. Yeah, he's there's a lot of them. They're emptying the reserve. They clearly overproduced. Like, we've just got too many of them. Just get them out there and get them fighting. Also, sort of Crom, I see your Conan the Barbarian reference right there in your name, so much appreciated there, Mr. Foot Knight. But a good little pick up there from the staff as well, and they will push their way forward, go ahead and pop those turbines and clear the way, and they have done a good job so far of really getting up there. Let's take a look at where some of our other teams are at the moment. I will hope to see one of these squads when they get to the boss. That'll be the, I think, real big test of this mission. But here down in the Warrens, this is, I believe, Frogs who are fighting this one out. The Hook Rat there going in for the grab. The little cheeky grab gets him. But nothing too much to worry about. And I don't think they've hit a Storm Fiend. Maybe they did, and we just didn't see it. Storm Fiend. I was going to say Storm Fiend Saturday, but unfortunately it's a Friday, so... well, at least for me. It might be not for some other people, but somebody wishes it would Friday right there as the elf goes down. And, oh, my God, they're just getting buried right here. Oh, the elf is annihilated. Goodbye. Just nothing to be done. The Witch Hunter trying their level best to fight their way out of this one. Just a mass of bodies, a scrum, a veritable brawl here. And suddenly the Witch Hunter is the only one that left. And, oh, no. He's caught by the assassin and brought down.
Very rough. It's once things start going wrong there, it spirals very fast if you can't stabilize.
Oh, that was just that was sad. That was rough. You're right.
Like they pulled the patrol in there.
They did. I think Bullet Patrol. That was a lot of Storm Vermin, even for this. But we'll go take a look at Frogs, who or not Frogs. I'm sorry. This is I think Stairs Go Down. I saw Frogs on my screen and I got excited. But no, it'll be Stairs Go Down here pushing across the bridge, and fire seems to be just a defining feature at the moment. I know it's not fire, but anyway. You'll see up on the top. Close enough. I mean, it could be. One man's fire is another man's magical aura, but they will head down those stairs. Those stairs do, in fact, go down. Oh, no. I think that was a Storm Vermin overhead. Am I incorrect right there? Is that what we got?
That would be correct, yeah. It tracked him right across.
Oh, yeah, those pesky. I tell you what, those things can be so pesky. The Storm Vermin's really up on the reflexes, just spinning across there and bringing it slamming down. You hate to see it. But they will continue the press here. The stairs are going down. The enemies are going down too. The good little bit of CC coming in right there will clear out some of this way. The spear flying and flailing, just cleaning up the back end with a little bit of help from the fire as well. But is it enough, Incan? I mean, what do you make of the spear as a weapon in this particular mode?
It's really good. It's not. I don't know if I'd say it's the undisputed best because it's competing with sword and dagger, but it's definitely easily the number 2 weapon for elf.
Oh, that's good. That's high praise. Number 2. There's a lot of good weapons over there to choose from as well. So there you see it. And I mean, we're seeing it in action right here. Just an absolute scythe, a Reaper's scythe, cleaving through fields of enemies at the moment. And Storm Vermin there meeting the unfortunate end of that spear and going down as they continue to sort of shove their way in. It looks like they have cleared the majority of the big threats here in this general area. So they should, I think, be able to move up just a little bit, trying to really use sort of the natural funnels here at the end of this cavern to clear themselves a path. And they will go through. Gonna go take a look at Milkers because I think they were maybe the team that was closest out of all of them. And yes, indeed, they are fighting the boss over here on Milkers. And Scarrick, well, he's at half health and he is getting bullied right there at the moment. It's a scene akin to what we saw with that unfortunate Storm Fiend over on the other side. And they might actually get him down. They're really hammering away, doing a great job of keeping the CC up. Scarrick with nothing left in the tank, and there we go. The boss is down, and Milkers with their Chad Foot Knight in the lead continue to be one of the most promising teams on the day. Beautiful stuff right there. They can't take down the boss.
Yeah, they just bullied him. The Foot Knight was knocking him down, and the Shade brings some much needed damage for shredding him. So, good combo. It's also interesting to note that the Sienna is not using Bomb Bomb. She is using Wildfire, which is very cool to see. Different. That is, yeah, very unique.
Well, they are the off-meta gods right now, but it's working out for them as they take the elevator to their well-deserved victory right there. And, I mean, credit where credit is due. They did a spectacular job. We'll go take a look here at Rat Bonkers, who are still fighting it out over on the streets of Unsingen, trying to make their way through on this initial street and having a little bit of a rough time of it. It's not really worked out quite in their favor. They've had a couple of unfortunate runs, and one of their team members is down at the moment, but they are doing their best to push forward as they can. And I mean, it is a bit of a, it is a bit rough to lose a team member that early on, but they seem to have stabilized okay. I say that though, and the Flame Rat there making their lives a little bit more difficult, but he immediately gets lit up. A good little hip fire shot there from Marcus Kruber will put him down, and now they fight into the Ruined Inn and straight through it. Again, they should be relatively, I think, good to go here. They should be able to get their teammate up and keep him through, but I mean, we saw the boss fight, right? So what's kind of the go-to strategy here for boss fighting in this particular sort of setting, these difficulty levels?
You mean like Scarrick?
Yeah, Scarrick.
Yeah,
I know they're all different, but Scarrick, yes.
Go-to strat usually is to either you just nuke him if you can, which we sort of saw, but otherwise the go-to strat is you huddle alongside the wall on the left-hand side of the arena, and you just kite across there, and then whenever Scarrick goes to his little corner to yell at you, like the poor boy he is, you just shoot him. And he just stands there and eats lead.
Just stands there and takes it?
Just stands there and takes it. I think he's complained about conditions to Clan Festa before, but they've not done anything for him, it seems.
Yeah, gonna be honest, Clan Festa doesn't seem like they have the best sort of workplace regulations, so it's just judging by what we can see on the map right there. They're not.
Oh, they need a union.
They need a union. He's gone to HR. It's just a very, very uncaring Grey Seer over there in HR he's been at it for too long, honestly. That's really the problem. But anyway, a little light character work for those of you at home, but we will continue continue forward here. The bridge is clear, and it looks like the way is clear for the team as well, at least temporarily. There's one brave clan rat there who jumps in. Oh, he's got some of his buddies to back him up, but all props to him, man. He saw those 4 guys coming. The elf's got glowing swords, and he was like, you know what? I'll try it. He's a chancer. He was a known chancer, that clan rat. And, well, we all saw where that got him.
Someone's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it at the end of the day, which is genuinely actually probably the most unscathed mentality that has ever existed. Is if nobody's got to do it, or we all do it together. But they are trying to get ahead here on the bridge, and well, that is an unpleasant sight. Bringing up the back, looks like they've got a couple of stage 5 clingers there on the back end, not wanting to give them any room at all, but they will deal with those follow-ons as best they can, and that should, I think, have gotten them over the bridge. They do have a little bit of a chase coming in. And again, one cannot help but think of the Mines of Moria actually being chased across the bridge. But we'll chill on the Lord of the Rings references for now. In Canada, as another big pack comes in right here. And they're just kind of slaughtering their way through. I do like to see the Handmaiden getting play. But, you know, speaking of classes, one class that I think we speculated that we would see some that we haven't really seen at all was the Bounty Hunter, because changes were made, right?
Yeah, he's actually quite viable now with the way his shotgun blast works. It's very spammable now. Also, his crits are up a lot more often, too. I'm actually surprised we're not seeing much of him, because he has some pretty good builds, especially for just shredding through hordes after hordes. And in this mode, it's a lot of hordes. So yeah, surprised we're not seeing it.
Well, I mean,
I haven't seen the pyro either.
No, we haven't seen the Pyro, which is another one I think we thought we would get a little bit of action there from the Pyromancer, and it really has not been the case, which is a bit of a shame, because I do love a good Pyromancer, but I can see maybe why some of these teams who are newer to Kata, remember this is Tier 1, for those of you who are watching at home, I'm sure you're all aware of it, but this is kind of the lowest tier here, just Tier 1 Kata Death Wish, so, you know, nothing too scary, but they are kind of a bit newer to the scene, maybe, or veterans who are kind of coming back into it, so maybe they don't feel as comfortable trying things that are a little bit different. But those poor plague monks there on the front line just getting absolutely shellacked, being taught a vigorous lesson in their need to bathe, and nobody wants one of them to get close to you. And it's not just because of the whirling blades, but oh, the smell. Anyway, Storm Vermin here being dispatched with great alacrity as another plague rat comes charging in on the back end, and it's good to see so many plague rats getting bodied in quick succession. But that assassin trying to do a little bit of bodying of their own, unfortunately won't find it. The team is there. It was a bold leap, but ultimately misplaced, as they will clear their way through here, and looking pretty sharp at the moment. Our frogs.
Indeed. I guess we're learning that frogs are better than rats.
Oh boy, he's making bold statements. All the Skaven watching in the chat are very unhappy, and if you didn't think Skaven would watch, they totally would watch. They would totally watch this. They'd be like, "Oh my god, look at these other stupid Skaven dying. This would never happen to me." Even though it totally. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. You know.
No, this is all 100% canon.
Yeah, this is 100% canon. Skaven would totally watch this. They'd be all over it. I should know. I had a friend who played Skaven back in the day. He was a terrible person. I digress. Still waiting for those models back, by the way. Anyway, not that I'm bitter or anything, as we transition over here to our next team. It is Stairs Go Down. You can always tell because they have that fun little rat there plotting in the corner. And speaking of plotting, they plotted this quite well because they are using that high ground positioning again to just devastate the waves of enemies who are coming towards them. They'll go ahead and lift up that gun rat as well. And, well, that has to sting. All that Skaven technology, the most powerful weapon in Skavendom, and the power of your fingertips or your claw tips, and then you just get lifted up into the air and killed. Tragic. And stops to pick up the piece of Ravaged Art as well. There we go. can't not pick that up.
Move.
The true power move. He's art collected on the job. It's Cat of Death Wish. He's like, oh gosh, I got to get this scrap. You never know when I might need that. But He'll continue apace, the assassin trying to jump in there and spoil somebody's day, and he'll get hoofed into the air and then shot down, easy as you please. No real hesitation there on the side of Stairs Go Down, who are on a downward staircase. I think their last run did end in ignominy. Was this the team that we saw? I should have taken a note or something. Was this the team that we saw got buried in the corner up there towards the Warrens? I think these were the poor unfortunate souls who that might have happened to. But oh no, they had a witch hunter. It was somebody else. But well, they're in a danger of being buried a bit just here as well, but it looks like they will fight through it. The Sister of the Thorn, though, peeling off a little bit from the team, and that can be a bit dangerous here. Still playing to the stairs, their namesake, can't quite avoid them. Those stairs do go up, though, not down, and categorically, they might take some sort of a penalty for fighting on stairs that go up instead of down.
I mean, they're using the high ground. Obi-Wan Kenobi would be proud.
He would be. You're like, yes. If Ian McKellen is Ewan McGregor. I always get my my Mc names messed up there at the end, but if he's watching, I'm sure he's happy to see it. But the fight of the Sister of the Thorn there on the top, balancing on a Pank precariously, but the Elven Grace, no problem at all. The gun, however, behind them firing in, that could be a bit problematic, and they'll try and clear just a little bit of space here and maybe try and adequately deal with that. I do think one of their teammates did manage to get in and get it done, but this has been a hard-fought fight here down at the kind of foot of the bridge. They've really been held up here.
Yeah, they've been very split, and I think that's sort of deprecating their ability to really cut through this as handedly as they could.
Well, it is the top of the hour, so it would be a really good time to just take a quick second and remind you guys that, first of all, thanks to everybody who made this possible, right? There are tons of people working behind the scenes, some very dedicated tournament organizers. I've come into this brand new. This is my first time working here, and I have to say I'm just astounded by the level of love and kind of devotion that people show to this game. It really does warm the cockles of my heart, but more importantly even than that, we are donating 60% of all subs and donations across this 3-day event to charity, so that specifically targeting people who were negatively affected by the floods in Germany that happened earlier this year. Some people who lost their homes are having a little bit of difficulty. Some of them still in the hospital, need a little bit of assistance. So any donations that you make, 60% of that will be going straight forward, and all those donations are being managed by ISCA. You can get our accounting statements and whatnot for that, but don't hesitate to give generously and put that money towards a good cause. It's not just all slaughtering Ratman, it's slaughtering Ratman with friends, and that's the key part right there, because if you're slaughtering Ratman without friends, you're just a psychopath, right? But you add the friends in, and it's cool.
Yeah, then nothing brings people together like mass vermin extermination.
like mass vermin extermination. It's true. It really is true. I got all my friends on the Vermintide play earlier this year before I hurt my hand. I had them all kind of in, and we were running runs. It was great, but that hook rat there trying to run a run, got a hook in, couldn't quite finish it off though. They were too fast on the draw for him indeed. And we'll take a look at where some of our other teams are going. Ratbonker's still over there fighting off up in Unsingen, trying to make it work, but transition really quickly over here to Frogs, who have managed to reach the Forge, which is where I think we not quite where we saw them go down last time. They were a little bit past this, but doing a good job of kind of plowing their way through as the Storm Fiend makes an appearance again. We just can't get away from him.
They're everywhere. I don't know what it is. Must be on special or something this week.
Yeah, on special. Just the way Gracier's just down at the market. It's like, well, it's 3 for 1 today. We've got a run on. There's just Storm Fiends everywhere. But yeah, if you all betted Storm Fiend as your boss to show up, you are looking pretty. Storm Fiend stocks are accelerating. Backstabs are accelerating too. And again, another Storm Fiend that just gets absolutely bullied.
They're just not having a good time.
They are not. Just the next one they send in is just gonna be like, please, I beg of you, I don't want to go. It's like, get down there, torch them with your flames. Yes. Anyway, A bunch of berserkers coming forward here, and there's an unfortunate presence of an assassin in the mix as well, but they will take him down. They go for the attempted res, and they will, I think, get the dwarf up before he is brought down, so that's good right there. And the handmaiden res ability actually coming in clutch right there as well. Very helpful indeed. I know a team that we haven't seen much of is Milkers. I'm going to swap over to them. They are on the next map, but they are currently fighting a Bile Troll, so a boss we have not yet seen. And they are here in the center of the Archer's Barracks over in the town proper of Helmgard, and they are having a time of it indeed. The charge coming in there bigly, knocking some of those enemies back, but he did kind of miss the Troll. The Troll really causing some problems, though. They are finally, I think, getting into a position where they can start the bullying, as it were, which really, honestly, is there any other way you could describe this in Can, is they just kind of beat it into the dirt.
Yeah, these boss fights, I think we're going to need to switch this stream up to mature content at this rate.
Yeah, you might at this point in time. These boss fights are, I mean, I want to show them because it's like, oh, it's the boss. It's very scary. And then these players are just, you know, talented enough that they just section them off and hack them down. And that poor troll, man, he is really upset right now. He's like, I cut a deal with the powers of chaos. I did all this work. I've been hitting the troll gym. And this is what I get. Just beaten into the dirt right there. But they will hit the elevator and carry on their way. And they are really the team that I think has been setting the pace here today. They are the absolute front runners out of this crew and really have just been on the ball all day long. But stairs go down. I'm going to transition back over to them because they are in a little bit of a dangerous situation at the moment. You can see from the grayed out screen there that the Sister of the Thorn has had a little bit of a rough time, but the health potion will come. Yes, I saw that. That was funny. I saw that old man. Oh yes, 4chan, the troll gym. He's a chaos troll though. He's not of the river, stone, or internet variety, which was a model line NCAM that they tried to get in, where the internet trolls there towards the tail end of Warhammer Fantasy, but it just really didn't take off.
You know how it is with end times lore and all that. It's hard to factor these things in.
It got very confused there. It got very confusing there at the end. Oh man, I was cheesed. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But doing a really good job here of kind of managing this initial push up the stairs, and they are pretty much clear through, at least down the staircase, heading out to the mine. Again, I mean, Milkers have been setting the pace, but these other teams have been doing well for themselves on the back end as well. So don't want to discount them at all. Let's take a look here at Rat Bonkers, who are still over in Usagen. They are currently fighting their way through the basement, where just a literal horde of enemies is waiting them, and it looks like that wall might have at least slowed down the pressure just a little bit there, and just a very casual flicking of the wrist there by the Sister of the Thorn to kind of drive them back. The Chaos Warrior, nothing casual about him at the moment, but they will go ahead and bring him down as well, and that's what you get with your magic armor and powered axe, years of training, and you just get lifted up into the air and stabbed a couple of times, and that's the way the world works. I don't call it grimdark for nothing, you can't.
Indeed. Also, the engineer is another interesting pick that we haven't seen much of, but he was buffed in the mod, so that is interesting to see.
I was just going to ask you about the engineer, because I think somebody in the chat mentioned it as well, because it is a little bit of a different choice. What do you make of bringing the engineer along?
It's a very good horde clear option, but it is very reliant on having support to actually get the ball rolling, as it were.
Yeah, I can see that.
With the flamethrower.
As a class, I will admit that I have tried to play the engineer, and I just cannot. Something about it, I just cannot figure it out. I think it's I rely too heavily on ranged weaponry. I don't know what it is exactly, but every time I try and play it, I do tend to have a little bit of trouble. And I props to anyone who's willing to bring that in Kata, but I'm going to hop over to Frogs, because Frogs are in a bit of a dangerous situation because they have pulled a Storm Vermin patrol, I think in the very same region where they pulled last time. No, it wasn't Frogs. Oh, no, it was Frogs, but oh, no. I think it's all ended in disaster one more time in the exact same spot. Yeah, the staircase of doom is just not favoring them at all. The poor witch hunter, he's trying his best, but what can he possibly do? What can man do against such reckless hate? It's just a giant pack, an armored column of angry storm vermin and their friends, and I think it's curtains here, but we'll see how long the brave witch hunter can last. He's backing up here, trying to clear himself a little bit of space. He's got him on a loop, a la Call of Duty Zombies. The flame rat there coming in, the gun rat as well, and that will be what finishes it. Man, if it weren't for those pesky specials, I think he could have done that one. That's the faith I'm going to give him.
Yeah, that's a rough spot to fight the patrol. With the Ranger vet, with the gear Glock. I'm just gonna call it different things too now.
The gear Glock.
You drop the smoke bomb and you can shred a patrol pretty handedly, but it looked like they did not have that up at the time.
The gear Glock. I'm sorry. I'm still processing. That's beautiful. You should write Fat Shark. Be like, I got an idea. I just need you guys to go with me. I'm gonna pitch it. The gear Glock. But yeah, no, you're right. And unfortunately, I think that is the second time they hit that patrol in that area, and it's just unfortunate, but that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And even if you win here, you don't win in the long run. That's just the way the end times work. So the push now coming out from the Sister of the Thorn here is we do swap over to I believe this is Stairs Go Down, who are again fighting on an upward staircase, and the stair jokes will never get old. Assassin comes jumping in there at the end, but is quickly barbecued back into non-existence, and they will clear the rest of that little bit of a hanging on pack whatsoever, and give themselves a little bit of means to get through. Getting a little bogged down here on the bridge, honestly, because they keep getting trouble coming in from behind Incan, which is slowing them down, but it does look like they managed to break out.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing okay. Hopefully we can see a little bit more of what am I trying to say here? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I gave up mind reading a long time ago.
Oh, gave up, you say?
Yeah. Didn't you? I thought everybody lost it when they turned 13. I was just
no. I'm Zintian. I know.
Oh yeah, you just know. You probably already know what I'm going to say right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a day ahead as well, so.
Oh God, that's right. I forgot you're from the future too.
But I've completely forgotten what I was going to get at because I've had too many jokes now.
Well, if it comes back to you, you jump in and it's all yours. But your stair goes down. They are pushing their way forward. Good little bit of fire right there to help clear them a path. Rat Bonkers over here still fighting their way down the street of Usigan. A little bit of a harem-scarum situation there. You see the wizard with a lot of temp HP, but perhaps not to be surprised by that. And they will deal with a couple of rats who do just sort of jump out at them here at this stage. And this, again, really has been kind of the thorn in the side here for the Rat Bonkers team, which is a little disappointing. But hopefully they will be able to get through eventually. A little bit of a pause there to clean up on the back end. And I mean, it's interesting to me, and again, I am a novice here, but it is interesting to me to see how much time is needed to kind of devote to that clear on the back end in Can, where you just kind of, turn around and clear enemies. And I mean, compared to like Legend, right, which is where I spent a lot of my time playing, just the sheer density of enemies continues to really kind of shock me almost when I see these kata runs.
Yeah, you are pretty much under constant attack and constant swarm, so the back end can be pretty scary. Like, I'm sure everyone knows playing on live that one slave rat that always stabs someone in the back for like 50 damage.
Yep.
And
very well familiar with that.
But it's constant and it's many, so it's really worthwhile to kind of clear out that back end just to make sure that you're not pinning yourself in a bad spot or rushing.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see exactly what you mean. I mean, it does require, I think, too, like a certain more disciplined play style, right? Than some people are probably used to. The idea that you do kind of have to be kind of clearing the back and flanks all the time. But speaking of back and flanks, it's a bit of a horde situation here. 4 stairs go down. They are buried. That Storm Vermin patrol down in the Warrens continues to just be an absolute menace because it's caught them as well in a very similar position. A hook rat and assassin. And the Disabler's getting in there. There's nothing they can do, and they will get cleared up just in time for us to switch over. But, man, Incan, that particular area of the map has just been an absolute monster.
It is rough. People don't necessarily expect how quickly that area can go bad, just because you do have walls there to back up against, and, you only have a few angles of attack, which should be safe, right? But with the patrol there, the fact that the area is actually deceptively tight, and just disablers seem to have a tendency to pop up there and
Yeah.
really throw a spanner in the works.
You know what? I think you're 100% right. I feel like that's a place where I always hit a special, no matter what difficulty level I'm at. I feel like I'm always hitting a special right there, and it is so annoying to get stuck up in that part. But speaking of parts you can get stuck on, we're in one a little bit here as well. Rat Bonkers in the kind of final challenging stage of Usingen, and they've been here before. It's not always worked out for them. The wall coming up right there as they just continue to slash away with the sword and dagger. Good little lift there onto the Marauder, buying them some space, but I mean just the sheer volume of Chaos Warriors pouring down the steps. It's like the Chaos Waves themselves have opened up to plague our particular band of heroes, and perhaps to a certain extent you could say that they have, but they're managing to cut down this horde relatively well. But I mean, that's just that's one wave, right? And there'll be another one coming along almost as soon as we can speak here.
Yeah. Once you start this event up too, it's just constant wave after wave, and you're kind of on a bit of a timer until eventually you sort of start getting attritioned out.
Yeah.
So now that they're in here, they do need to really form up, get to the back end, and start clearing so they can start getting this card out of the way before they start running out of time.
Well, it's a scene from my nightmares right there, as just about 10 berserkers just came surging forward, axes a-whirling, and that's pretty much the most horrifying thing I think I've seen in quite some time. They will manage to deal with it, though, and they do use this kind of alley as a little bit of clearance. The assassin comes flying in right there. They've got some ults to use as well, should they choose, but they seem to have done a relatively good job of at least mitigating the initial bunch of enemies there, and there's that long-range kind of crowd control coming in one more time. We'll lift that gun rat up and slam them back down, but it looks like they might actually be able to clear themselves a bit of a pathway, and I'll be honest with you, I think we'll stick on this just a little bit because I want to see if they can pull this one off. We've kind of been following them a little bit here, and they've had a rough time of it, so I would like to see if they can make it happen in Can.
Yeah, hopefully they can make it through, because they've got a pretty good start, and from here they just need to be able to get that second barrel in, and then after that they just need to stabilize, and then it should be simple enough for someone to go get the third barrel. But we'll see what happens. Their comp is a little bit tricky in that they don't have a hard front line. Their entire front line is on that mercenary, so if he has to split off for any reason, then the rest are kind of under a lot more pressure than another team would be.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's one of those, again, when you get to this level of play, I think the delineation of roles kind of in a clear front line does become so much more prevalent, but, I mean, I think there are a lot of people who don't play at this level who would challenge you that the mercenary is a frontline character, but what makes it a little bit harder for him to kind of frontline in this game mode, let's say, or this difficulty level?
Mercenary is a really good frontline, but the thing is that when you look at this comp, he is the only one they have, and solo frontline is a very difficult thing to do, especially with the triple backline that they've got, because if anything slips through, then the backline becomes a lot less effective in what it can and can't do. I mean, I'm sure you know what it feels like playing as NG and you have things all up in your face and you can't do NG things.
Yeah.
And so that becomes a big problem when you only have one person that's actually able to protect that engineer.
Very true, and I mean, it is absolutely critical for this composition as well, because they do have, I mean, like you said, they do have that engineer, right, who is maybe a little bit of an outsider pick, and he does need space to operate, but looks like the Sister of the Thorn here is making a play to try and get this barrel. Good bit of CC there on the Flame Rat, but kind of trying to buy themselves enough space to even get down the stairs here inside one of the cheese dispensaries, and that wall comes up right there, at least temporarily. They will hold around it, and then they'll kind of push their way back out. Again, just thinning their enemies. And I think they got most of them done right there. And it looks like they might have gotten all the barrels as well. So I think I was a bit wrong. I think that the Sister might have actually just been back guarding there for somebody who was running the barrel through. But a big old wave coming up here will kind of slow them down just a little bit as they kind of have to hack and slash their way through that. And I am keeping an eye here, by the way, on some of the other teams that we've been following to see if any of them have have managed to make it kind of over to the boss over there, but they have not yet really been able to do so. Looks like Rat Bonkers might actually finally make their way through this part of Usingen. They're down here with just the cart to go. There's that brave front line, by the way. That lone mercenary again charging forward there into the midst of that horde. Unenviable position.
Yeah, it's you can see him there. He's just in the mess constantly. The shield is probably a nice comfort to have in that situation.
Oh, for sure. I actually love Spear and Shield on like on all of the Marcus classes. I think that was an excellent addition. Really, if one of my probably actually my favorite weapon in the game nowadays, if I'm being honest. But they still got their work cut out for them. Sister, oh no, gets caught there by the Life Eaters, getting lifted up into the horde. The damage comes piling in, but fortunately they are able to save them there. I think the Foot Knight might have, or the Foot Knight, I'm sorry, the Mercenary might have actually ulted right there. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of a sound problem today, so we can't quite hear those ults going off, but they do look like they've managed to cut through what was put in front of them right there. There's a gun rat now covering the cart, but I think they should be in a position where they should, yeah, they can light it. The gun rat being peeled off. A little bit of miscommunication here, Incan. They seem to go a bit back and forth on getting the cart off, but it finally will roll, and we'll get a very sort of cinematic view as it goes in. Never mind. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to get to see the explosion. It won't be the case today.
You know, it's the coolest thing to do when you turn around and don't look at the explosion.
You're right. You're right. I should have thought of that. You're totally true. And if anybody is not going to look at the explosions of this crew, it would be Carillion. She's perfectly primed, right, to be the I don't look at explosions character.
With the big black sunglasses.
Yeah, puts on the sunglasses. Just blows up some Lord's Manor house. Doesn't care. It's just all in a day's work, really, for the children of Athel Lauren. Big into explosives. They are. So a lot of opportunities to a lot of opportunities to walk away from explosions. Anyway,
another thing worth mentioning as well before we move on.
Oh yeah.
Back in the basement that we saw with the third barrel, the Corellian opted to destroy the barrel so then it would spawn elsewhere, and that's how they did that.
Oh,
which is a pretty expedient strat and decently reliable. I think that's the way that most people do it, because people typically aren't too keen on going through that basement area.
Yeah, I can see exactly what you mean, and again, it's one of those things where I wouldn't even thought of that because I'm just I'm not big brain enough, but it makes total sense. Incan, I think it's worth just refreshing. We have a big viewer stream. Hello everyone, thank you for watching. We hope you're enjoying. But what are some of the differences between this game mode and kind of your regular even Cataclysm difficulty?
Okay, so what we're looking at is we've got Onslaught and Deathwish, which Onslaught increases the rate at which everything spawns. We've got more monsters, we've got more hordes, we've got more everything, pretty much. And it all comes at you faster, and it comes at you in harder compositions as well. So in Legend, for example, you don't get elites in your hordes unless they're ambient spawns. But just as a matter of course, that's a thing in this mode where you do just have elites in your hordes all the time. Another thing too is Deathwish makes things a bit beefier. You do a little bit less stagger, so things are harder to control. And another thing that's the biggest thing probably is that the events, like the finales and things like that, are just significantly tuned up and even changed in some ways mechanically with how they work.
Speaking of finales, we actually have one going down right now. It's Milkers again, who have, I said, kind of been the pace setters here on the day. And we are peeling off there. Victory was in sight for the team. The Rat Bonkers had finally made it through the horrifying streets of Usingen. And this is the other side of that coin, the team that has really pushed the farthest here. And they have a Bile Troll here at the finale of Righteous Stand. And they are, obviously, that makes this whole scenario just a little bit more difficult because this endless horde wave is really not enabling them to find the room, Incan, to go ahead and try and deal with the Bile Troll in the manner to which they are accustomed, which is kind of everybody gangs up on it, pulls its aggro in different directions, and they just sort of beat it down. But this is an unpleasant situation indeed for the Milkers. The Bile Troll kind of just chasing them around. They're kiting it like something out of Call of Duty Zombies where they're just chaining them around the central statue. But, I mean, what do you even do in a scenario like this?
Well, you have to kite with this strat they've opted for. There's no real. Well, there actually is a way to hold, but it requires you to kill the troll before everything else comes in, and you have a kind of tight time frame to do that. And with their comp, and depending on what resources they came in with, they probably did not have the time or the confidence to do that. So they've opted for just kiting it all at once, and they do have the crowd control to do that. And so they just need to kite it around and whittle things down as they go, and eventually the event will progress, and they're kind of waiting for Sigmar's hammer to drop.
Yeah, I could actually see that as an idea. I hadn't, initially when I saw this situation, I hadn't really thought of that, but you could just indeed wait for Sigmar's hammer to drop, just kind of keep the kite going. And I mean, when they lack, we were talking about this earlier when we saw Milkers, right? They do kind of lack a real hardcore sort of DPS option. It's just not something that they have in this composition, so they kind of have no choice but, like you said, to sort of kiting around the statue. They are obviously not in a position at all where they can even go get their teammate up, but that assassin there trying to spoil the party just momentarily won't happen. The troll gets knocked back a little bit for his troubles, but they continue to play the world's most deadly game of Ring Around the Rosie here, and the assassin jumps in, but they'll get the immediate peel. Beautiful right there to get him off the Foot Knight and keep him alive. Chad Foot Knight does have an ult up here as well, but that wave of plague rats might just mean the end here. No, they will continue to fight through it. The loop slightly broken there, I think, for a second, but that will actually result in the potion being opened up here, as this Foot Knight will just go on a charging spree and just clearing some big area. And it does look like the main horde is clear, which I believe just leaves the troll to deal with here, at least for a moment.
Yeah, they've got some time here if they want to do some damage, but if they don't get a phase, then it's kind of pointless because the troll will eventually just regen back up. They should probably be using this time to actually get a res, but it looks like they've opted not to do that. Their kite loop is also a little bit unique in that they are just doing a straight ring around the Rosie, around the statue, whereas the usual strat is usually to abuse the staircases to get some drop downs.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, actually, but it looks like they will get through. They leave their team member behind, but they do manage to complete right there, so good on them for making it through. Now, we're going to transition back over to Frogs here. Frogs is still kind of on the hunt for the Warlord down here in the basement. Nearly called him Skarsnik, but that's a completely different character. So they're still on the hunt here. It's been a couple of kind of unfortunate runs for this team. They have died twice now down in the market, and the Warrens just got buried under a storm vermin patrol, so we'll see as they kind of set up here to pass through that area again whether it will remain sort of cursed for them. Hopefully it will not be the case, and the jump coming up right there immediately met by some damage. Unfortunately, the Shade is eating the hit right there as that Plague Rat comes over, but it's nothing I think that they can't really absorb. What do you make of this team composition, by the way? I don't think that we've necessarily discussed this one yet.
I think it's a very stable team comp. It's pretty straightforward. Witch Hunter Captain is a linchpin of most comps because of the support capabilities he brings along with just the sheer damage. Merc as well is, as we've said, very good frontline, good support class as well on top of that, and decent DPS to boot. Is a bit of an all-rounder. And the range of it as well just brings a lot of quality of life to a team, and he does have the capability to output a lot of damage if he wants to with his smoke bomb and the pistol.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that they haven't been able to necessarily conquer this part of the map yet, because they have all the tools to do it. It's just, I think it's just a matter of either nerves or just getting caught by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of fallen into the exact same trap twice, right, where they've gotten stuck with that patrol in those very tight spaces, and we sort of talked about it last time, how much of a kind of difficult position you can be when you're down there in the Warren, but not a difficult position for them right now, maintaining that high ground advantage. Like you said, Obi-Wan Kenobi would be proud as they cut their way through, and here we come back to the spot that has been the absolute bugbear, the plague, the curse upon this team. And let's see if it will be that again. They get the initial cut through, and if I just see them get up those stairs over there, I will feel very happy indeed. Oh, I thought they had pulled the patrol again for a second. I saw those storm vermin dropping down, and I was like, there's no way it's going to happen yet another time. The assassin comes leaping in right there, but ultimately in vain. It's Buddy, though, is doing some good work on the backside, does actually manage to get the down on Kruber, and this staircase has been kind of the position of doom for them, so hopefully they'll be able to get through it. No, Kruber's down again. There's storm vermin piling in now on the back end as well. Kruber is completely dead. The handmaiden kind of waiting for the ult to come back as yet another assassin jumps down. The assassins just won't stop coming in, and they've battled their way up the stairs in camp, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make it happen. They only have 2 bodies left. It's just the Witch Hunter captain and the Ranger now, and they are getting flanked from both sides. Do they have the sheer manpower to kill? They do not. It's all down to the Witch Hunter captain again. It's a scene that we've seen played out before, and just look at the sheer number of enemies coming in. They might have pulled the Storm Vermin patrol in the midst of all of that one more time. He's trying to set the post, though, here in Can, and he won't find it. He can't cross the lip. The assassin brings him down, and once more, the Warrens prove too much for this team.
Oh, the assassins are definitely putting a lot of pressure on them. They just got very strong out there. Being as separated as they were with assassins in that area is very dangerous, and they paid the price for it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, that was assassins all the way right there. The assassins coming in big. I don't know how many warpstone tokens they paid for those boys, but boy, they earned that back in spades right there in that particular stretch. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It was really
the Ashen Elite.
The Ashen Elite, yeah, it's the top of their class at the Black Pagoda. They reached the top floor. Coming in, but man, that was rough. The Disablers, like you said, I think they really were the difference maker.
Yeah, for sure. Like, they have the tools to deal with these things. It's just I'm not sure if it's nerves or maybe even possibly impatience, because they probably just really want to get through that area. And while it is a light-hearted tournament and, like, you know, it's all for fun, there's still pressure there and there's still nerves. That's just the reality of it. So I guess it just is what it is in that way. Hopefully, though, it's a good learning experience. I don't know if that was their final wipe on that map and they have to move on or not, but
I think it was their final wipe, and they are actually moving on. They are starting on Righteous Stand. You know, I think that I think you were kind of maybe on the right track when you talked about the patience thing. I noticed that that one stage, right, they were really trying to push forward, and they hadn't, I think, kind of even adequately perhaps cleared the back line that much, and that was why we saw the split. But I mean, speaking of split, this situation could be quite ugly on the other side here for this poor team right here. The Rat Bonkers have pulled a Storm Vermin patrol at the top of the stairs here, and they've actually handled that very well, at least initially. The CC coming in huge. The Gas Rat actually will help them out there, I think, a little bit. The backside coming in with that Slave Rat pack, but that's nothing they can't cut through in proper order, and I think that Gas Rat might have actually saved them a whole world of trouble right there again.
Perhaps. It was definitely the engineer is running the armored piercing rounds. The Gromrel plated shots, I believe is the talent name.
Yes, that is correct.
And they used that to pretty handedly shred through a good half of the patrol there, at least, from what I saw. But an interesting sort of thing about this comp, too, is that since they have the wall, those walls actually block teammates from shooting through. So correct. That's a bit of anti-synergy they have there, which is interesting.
Yeah, you know, I actually had not thought of it, but you bring up a very, very, very good point in the idea that the engineer is not going to benefit from that very much, right? Outside of kind of the space-making ability, a little bit of friendly fire right there, but nothing too much to write home about. Instead, kind of the Sister of the Thorn stepping into a bit of a frontline role, which is something that we had talked about with this team previously, and I mean, she can certainly fight. I just don't know if she necessarily should be in that position all the time, right?
Elf is unique in that she can weave between roles very easily,
right.
with just the sort of fluidity of how her melee works. But also Sister of the Thorn in particular, with the fact that she can benefit from other teammates' health, and they have a mercenary who is constantly pumping out health, that actually it's very stonks. That's the way to put it, I guess.
It's very stonks. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I believe you 100%. But let's go ahead and take a look at Stairs Go Down. They've just reached the top of the initial ramp over here in Helmgart on Righteous Stand. They've got some Chaos Warriors to deal with. And don't worry, if you're curious how Milkers are getting on over there on Empire in Flames, we'll give them a look-see a little bit later. But let's give Stairs Go Down their chance to show their skills here. And they've done an adequate job of at least getting up this far into the map. Frogs, by the way, is about the same position here right now in this run, so really Rat Bonkers is, of the teams that we have on the scope, are the ones who are a little bit behind. Well, not behind. They're taking it at their own pace. I should add, Nico Guardians, we do have their feed, but as some of you are aware, it is a little choppy, so we've not really been able to do it. They are still fighting there towards Scarrick, trying to take down the Spine Mangler. They are just at the forges of the door, so they have not quite got to him yet. But a little bit of a difficult scenario here, at least momentarily. The quick drop down for the heal there, which is a clever little bit of play, if I'm being honest with you right there. And I like that as they kind of back up and continue to just sort of deal with this horde, but a real 2v1000 scenario at the moment as they try and stay alive. And oh boy, I don't know that staying alive is going to be much of an option. The hedge will come up there. Some of those enemies are pushed back, but it's really just throwing rocks at the ocean for all it's worth. Another ult is online, but now they're trapped behind this wagon. Will they be able to make it work? The Chaos Warrior slamming in, another barrier going up, but it's just not enough. Oh, there's only so much the glaive can do. It's chopping and chipping and chopping away, but it won't work, and that will be a full party wipe there at the top of the ramp at Righteous Stand. And I mean, you hate to see it. And
That is
you hate to see
very
it.
rough, yeah. It looked like he was trying to loop around to the right-hand side around the wagon there, but probably would have been a bit more safe to just back up over that ladder spot and just drop it and run all the way back around. Because with a glaive especially, fighting that whole thing out is going to be rough.
Well, over to Empire in Flames we go here, and they are currently fighting the mighty Minotaur, which we did mention earlier as the boss that Incan and I would both least like to face in real life, even if it doesn't taste good. But they've managed to cook it relatively well, so it'll be fine dining on Minotaur tonight for the team. But they are doing a great job there. That Foot Knight stagger has just been impeccable throughout every time that we've seen it, honestly, and it warms my heart because I cannot get that finger roll down, Incan, when I try and play Foot Knight. I just cannot get that kind of perma stagger out there.
Yeah, it's just constantly rotating those two buttons, getting into a rhythm. It's like playing Guitar Hero or like a rhythm game or something almost.
Oh yeah, which maybe explains a lot because I was always terrible at Guitar Hero. It was not my game. No, unfortunately not. So my Foot Knight play may be a little limited by my ability to not roll the fingers for the shield, but certainly it's not limiting the Chad Foot Knight that we have on screen here, who has been really just a beast for the team, just doing a really great job. That poor Bestigore there jumping up, trying to prove that he was the best Gore, and it did not work out. A lot of Gore, though, there for the consumption. Blightweaver there throwing out the Storm, and looks like they will just nail it right away, so no real problem situation there. And of course, Empire and Flame, that's the ultimate map, right? This is it. This is the end of the line.
Yeah, Engines of War is a very rough map in terms of this lineup that we have. The mid event requires some pretty good coordination and tight positioning, depending on the strat that's gone for. And the final event as well, depending on how they decide to tackle it, I'm kind of curious to see, because most teams will kite it out, but we might see Cops try to just stand there and fight. We'll see.
Ooh, I feel like you're very much taking your life into your own hands, right? When you go at it like that, because it's just, that would be so hard on this particular mode with the kind of mods that have been applied, and I personally can't necessarily imagine how rough that would be, but we'll leave them for a second here as they continue their journey ahead. We'll go take a look at Frogs, who are doing all right. Now keep an eye on Milkers there. If we'll see when they kind of reach the tail end, the penultimate event, and then the ultimate event. The Hook Rat coming out right there, and a little bit of room. The Trollhammer Torpedo making an appearance right there on the Iron Breaker. What do you make of all of that, Incan?
Trollhammer is a really good weapon. Of course, it's limited in how much ammo you can have, but you can run conservative shooter on it, and a lot of players have discovered that you can, in fact, headshot with the Trollhammer, so you can make use of that trait.
No.
Which is,
You can't?
It looks awkward and it looks very ridiculous, but you can do it. And
Wow, I
it
didn't know
has been nerfed in this mod, but it still maintains a really good identity as just doing a lot of single target damage. So it's a smart thing to bring for destroying Chaos Warriors, destroying bosses, quickly disrupting a pack if need be. And yeah, so it's not surprising to see it.
Yeah, it would. I guess quickly disrupting a pack. Yeah, it would. It would do that. It's a giant rocket exploding in the middle of all of you. Really put a bad taste in the cultist's mouth. But the dual hammers there being used a little bit for CC, trying to kind of keep this horde at a distance. The Iron Breaking coming forward there, and hey, look at that! The Trollhammer Torpedo makes its presence known there. A mighty blast clearing some space as they kind of loop the sides of the arena here, or the barracks as it actually is, but more of an arena for gameplay purposes. And that is an absolute plague of plague rats that comes charging towards them. Kind of terrifying sight. The berserkers do tend to give me the heebie-jeebies, I must admit. And a rat ogre has decided to add themselves to the party as well, as the handmaiden does go down here. So that's going to put pressure on everybody else. The Trollhammer Torpedo coming out right there. The handmaiden is down. I don't think they're going to be able to get the res in. They go and try and take out the Blightstormer. They won't find it, and they just continue to try and run the ring here, probably playing for time at this stage, wouldn't you say, Incan?
Yeah, so this arena is an actual event where you open the portcullis. I think I'm saying that correctly.
Portcullis.
I'm Australian, second language, it's all good.
You pulled that card on me once already tonight.
Yeah, but it was off stream, so it doesn't count.
True.
But yeah, so the moment that people actually start getting separated and dying, and that's a recurring theme, I guess, for this mode. But in this event especially, since you are kiting in this circle and things are constantly dropping in and swarming you, you have to be moving pretty fast and pretty tight to actually stop yourself from getting surrounded completely. So the moment that people are lost in that wave, they're kind of on their own.
Right. Yeah, and I can kind of see that developing here as well. I mean, they're doing an okay job of trying to keep this around. The Iron Breaker nearly gets caught on the wall right there, which would have been an absolute disaster, but I think they're going to have to run the circuit again. A little bit of separation there between the Iron Breaker and the Mercenary, and they're starting to get split off right here. The Mercenary in particular is a little out of the loop, and unfortunately the Hook Rat there might signal the end. The Iron Breaker does use the ult there to just buy himself some space. He runs off. The Assassin coming in. He gets punched in the face by the hammer, and they will keep him back, but they can't confirm the kill. The Mercenary is still alive somewhere, but the Iron Breaker currently just trying to make the loops almost by themselves. I don't know what happened to their teammate. There he is. He's fighting around the winch in the middle of the map, and this is a bit of a rough scenario indeed. The last of the stamina shield's broken right there as the Blightstormer does come in. They continue to fall back. The Assassin is in the midst of everything, but that Blightstormer might have actually just saved this Iron Breaker from a potential drop by the Assassin. And have they done enough to really clear this sans that Rat Ogre? It looks like they might have just done so. A couple of Chaos Warriors there to still be added to the pot, but they're doing a good job of just making them eat Trollhammer Torpedoes for breakfast or lunch. I don't really know what the time frame is here on that map, but they are continuing to kite around, and they've actually done a really good job here, Incan. I will say this is been relatively well done, all things considered.
Yeah, trying to stabilize through this once you've lost a couple players can be real rough, but they've made a good show of dealing with it.
Yeah, I think the loss of the two players probably would have doomed some other teams, so they've managed to overcome that at least temporarily. The Mercenary still on his feet, still fighting. It looks like they might have to go for yet another loop. The Flame Rat coming in right there. Is the elevator open behind this Iron Breaker? It is. The Mercenary fighting their way back in. Oh, no! Oh, he was so close. He just couldn't make it, and the elevator won't go up because he's not down. Oh, is this the end? Does it end this way? I can't even believe this. The Iron Breaker trying to fight there past the Flame Rat, trying to get over to the Mercenary. He's forced to go into the loop again, and Incan, it looked so good. It looked like they might be clear at the final hurdle. Oh, that is tragic. That is tragic upon tragic.
Oh, that is rough. That elevator is a bit sketchy in that the moment that something touches it and runs across it, you have to kill it. Otherwise, the elevator is just going to tell you that hostiles are nearby, and that is part of why you could not take the elevator. But it really, it would have been rough anyway, even if they did get up the elevator, just because
Yeah.
the moment you get up to the top there, the rat ogre's already there to meet you. It's very difficult to stabilize from there if you don't just keep looping and try and play it
Oh.
out. It's very much sort of playing the long game at that point.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. It still hurt. That poor, I feel it in my chest. That poor mercenary, he was so close and he just couldn't get around that last corner. But I did say I'd bring us back over to Milkers when they were on the penultimate event here of this map, and it does look like they will have reached that. So this will be a good little bit of palate cleanser here for us to see how this team that has done so well through everything else handles this. And the Foot Knight, again, just continuing to do a great job on the crowd control. But I mean, that's a lot of rats. That's a lot of ratmen. That is a significant amount of ratmen. I don't know what the proper term would be for that amount of ratmen, but an absolute rat fiesta as they back themselves up into the wall here. The Foot Knight there using the charge to just give them a little bit of room. The battering ram coming in big. They've got the globes coming in too, which will actually help just a little bit, I think. The damage is chunking up awfully fast for that Foot Knight. He's doing a good job of holding it out, but he gets pulled by the hook rat. Oh no, he didn't see him. He was buried in the pack, and that means that he is effectively dead, and I think the rest of the team will probably not be long to follow their brave Chad Knight into the grave. And by the way, that was a beautiful throw right there by that Poison Wind Globadier. Just arc that in, get that man a contract right away for some sort of professional sport. What's the one they play in Middenheim? Is it Scrumball? I can never remember what it's.
No, I think they just call it midden ball, honestly.
Midden ball, that's it. It's midden ball. You're right. Yeah, would be a midden ball star right there with an arm like that. If you could get past the the fur and the gas mask and what have you. But we'll go back and take a look at Rat Bonkers here with their valiant engineer as part of their crew, and they are currently on the big bridge as they head their way towards Scarrick Spine Mangler to try and put him in his well-deserved grave. A little bit of flamethrower action there for you as well as the Sister of the Thorn continues to kind of clear the back line. Unfortunate indeed to see a team kind of that's been doing so well get caught out right there on Engines of War, but eventually I think all of our teams will make it to Engine of War, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm seeing requests to look at one of the live teams. I don't know if I've gotten to this late, but Projects team, I forget what they are called. Let me take a look. But we have been asked to check them out.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that we didn't have live teams running, but I will try and pull them up if I can as soon as we get an idea of who is who right there.
Sigma male grind set. So there you go.
Sigma male grind set. Okay, well, we will pull them up for just a second here. I'll leave it on Rat Bonkers, and I'll go make things happen, as it were, in the background. But just interesting to note here. I mean, as you kind of see them pushing up towards the end, I do wonder what's their strategy going to be for this boss in Can. What do you think that we're going to see from them?
With their team comp, they'll probably have to opt for the strategy where you huddle along the right wall and try and fight it out that way, and plink him from range when he's hiding in the corner, because they do not have the damage with this comp to shred him down, I don't believe.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see what you mean by that. They do have the engineer, but I guess he wouldn't be able to provide just enough DPS kind of on his own, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Well, we will transition over to Sigma Male Grind Set. I believe this is the team that was requested, so if I'm not wrong, I'm sure the Twitch chat will be quick to tell me how I am not correct. But they are doing a good job here, or at least they were initially, of kind of kiting on the end of Righteous Stand. They've done well to get here. A Bile Troll has appeared for them as well. 2 members of the squad still alive here, kind of trying to run the loop on Righteous Stand, and it looks like they're having a little bit of a rough time of it.
but we'll see if they're kind of able to play for time here. It looks like I might actually be doubling back to try and go for the res in Canada. I think that is genuinely a bit of an interesting choice. What do you make of that?
So this finale actually gives you a lot of breathing room if you know how to cut it out, using the drop downs and things like that. And that gives you a lot of room to actually get the reses if you play it well. Whereas what we're seeing here is that they've opted to just sort of rush for it, and you can see here on screen now that they've picked up into a pretty rough spot, just swarmed as soon as they get up.
Yeah, it is a very rough spot indeed, and I mean that's kind of what I was thinking too when I was thinking about the practicalities of rezzing in that situation, right? Because realistically, if you bring your teammate back, they are just going to be immediately kind of ganged up on, whether you like it or not. And I mean, all credit to sort of Sigma Male Grindset for trying to make this work, and they're doing a good job of kiting this troll at least. And I do appreciate too, by the way, Incan, that they are using the stairs like you mentioned, right? This is something that you did say on our last team that we saw, which is I believe Milker who were playing this map, that the loops on the stairs are actually pretty effective for kind of mitigating chase and horde and what have you.
Yeah, especially for containing the troll if you want to split it off from the team like we're seeing here, and the Handmaiden's a good choice for doing that with, because pinning a Handmaiden down is very difficult, and also that spear and a shield, very difficult to die for as long as you have that block button held.
Very true, but unfortunately the same cannot be said of, I believe that's a battle wizard over there who did, I think, go get caught out. It looks like they got him back up, though. The bounty hunter and the foot knight there to secure is really the elf just kind of providing the means of keeping this troll off the back of the other team. A very valiant, sort of noble effort from the Handmaiden, who will eventually regroup with the rest of her squad. And they must be getting close to the tail end of everything here. You can see that Sigmar statue, I think, nearly at its apogee at the moment. Still alive is the Handmaiden, finding it out. There is the big explosion. That'll knock the troll, and, well, I think they're going to try and go for it, Incan. They're going to just try and finish it off, because why not? Never mind. They'll just let him know that they were there, give him something to remember him by, and then drop straight down. And it's a good complete there for Sigmar Male Grindset, one of my absolute favorite team names on the day. So well played by them, indeed. Well played by them, indeed.
Oh, and another team that we have that's live as well called, let me just check here.
Team Baja, I believe, and I will...
8 FPS, I believe it's called.
8 FPS. Well, I'll go ahead and check them. I've got a couple of teams running here on the live that we were not entirely aware of. But by the way, we didn't get to see it, but I will give them their well-deserved victory run. Rat Bonkers did manage to get Scarrick down, so they have come through in the end, and they are on their victory lap there on that map. So good play to them. Frogs, meanwhile, have gotten themselves in a bit of an unfortunate situation over here on Righteous Stand, because we mentioned this earlier about weather effects and whatnot, but they've got the rain map version of Righteous Stand again, which I think does make things a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, they seem to be maintaining a pretty good loop right now, though. They're quite tied up. Their comp as well is pretty beefy. They should be able to kite this out just fine, so long as they don't get caught out. But we'll see. The Sablers throw a pretty big spanner into the works. But the Chaos Spawn as well is probably one of the rougher things to get in this area as well. So
perhaps just a bit.
Just a bit. I reckon it tastes like calamari.
You reckon it tastes like calamari? Oh my god. You're lucky. You're gonna be lucky to escape this without getting burned at the stake, my good man. With all your speculation on what these things taste like, and let me also, by the way, oh my God, he is just, oh Jesus, this is
that is horrifying. I was talking about.
Yeah, there he is. Oh my Lord, just getting absolutely buried under.
You have resources though.
just bombs the Chaos Spawn right in the face. Talk about sticking it to the forces of evil right there. Just straight throwing it right into the gut of the Spawn. But I don't know if it'll be enough. Just continuing to have to force this loop is a very horrifying situation indeed with that Chaos Spawn bearing down on them. But I do appreciate the bravery that is being shown, at least at this moment. The Trollhammer Torpedo making its appearance felt there as well as they continue to kind of run it. They'll go ahead and stop, and they've got some items they can pick up on that loop there as well, and they just kind of got to keep going round. The wheel does go, and I was going to cut over to 8 FPS, who do indeed look like they're playing on 8 FPS, but I believe they're in a situation here where their Iron Breaker is about to get destroyed on Righteous Stand, so maybe we'll come back to them at a slightly other time when their full squad is up. Stair goes down there on the reset right now, by the way, and we'll go take a look at Milkers, who are continuing to fight their way back to where they were over here on Engines of War. It didn't quite work out for them last time. They got stuck at the penultimate event, but they do have a Rat Ogre here. One of their team members is down. I believe it's the Unchained that dropped here as the Chad Knight tries to defend their fallen teammate long enough for them to get the Unchained back in the action. They will do so. Some good kiting there, I think, from the Shade, who is keeping that Rat Ogre at least temporarily occupied as the one-handed sword goes to work there on the Berserker. The charge coming in, clearing them just a little bit of distance in can, but this is turning into a bit of a difficult fight here for this team. They are very split at the moment too, but it looks like they will be able to regroup at least temporarily, and now I believe the bullying will begin.
Yeah, they've cleared up now, so now it's just that's all she wrote. These Rat Ogres, these Storm Fiends, they're just not having a good time.
No, they're really not. I think of all the bosses we've seen so far, the Chaos Spawn, and we'll go take a look at that again back on the side of, I believe it's Frogs who are dealing with that, and they are just continuing to have an absolute happy, fun time here with Chaos Spawns, and now a Blightstormer here on the top deck. Everybody crammed into a room, no social distancing, no masking. It probably explains the presence of the Blightstormer, but they've just got that Spawn of Chaos, who I think was nomming on a teammate there for a second as well, and this is just about... Yeah, Mercenary's down. Wonder what the Mercenary tastes like. Pork, I believe, is what they say, but that's neither here nor there. And the Ironbreaker trying to force a way out. That's not gonna be... Oh, no. He's getting nommed on, too, and the Chaos Spawn proves too much for our intrepid bands of heroes over here on Frogs. Unfortunate indeed. Oh.
That is a rough room to fight the Chaos Spawn in, or any boss in, really, but the Chaos Spawn especially. And those Blights, that just, yeah, that's not a good time.
Oh, that was tough. We'll go take a look here at Sigmar Male Grind Set. They've hopped into Engines of War. They are past the pond, the bog. I don't know what we would technically refer to that as, but they are fighting their way forward. And don't worry, I have 8 FPS on lock here as well. And let me we'll transition to them in a second. We'll watch this fight that's going on here as they do clear their way up this slope and then down into the valley. And the valley looks like has presented some challenges for a couple of teams, not the least because we've seen a couple of monster spawns here in Can. But do you think this is a viable spot to kind of like hold that high ground and play it out like we've seen some teams do on other maps?
You can totally do that. Depending on the direction that everything comes from, it's very likely that things will come from behind at some point and you'll just get sandwiched. And there are some interesting spots there on that ledge that you can't actually jump down without getting cliffed. So that is a risk. So...
Could see that.
I think I've lagged out a bit.
Oh no, that's okay. Well, hopefully we can get you back in. But I am gonna just transition us over to 8 FPS right now, and I'm warning everybody: the team name is true, so prepare yourselves for what you're about to see. If we can get them on screen, because it's truly something.
I'm excited.
It's truly something. I love it. It looks like GoldenEye, GoldenEye Vermintide from back in the day. Just the pure pure potato settings. It's so smooth. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that is the RuneScape settings.
We did talk about that before the broadcast started. You were like, "Well, you can actually put your settings so that it'll look like RuneScape," and I was like, "Just you wait, bud. I've got just the team for you."
It is amazing.
But yeah, it's at least the bitrate is good. I'll give them that. They're maintaining that. But I gotta ask. You will know, I think. What's the thought here behind this? Is there a particular reason? Is it a strategic, or is it just like a computer kind of workload sort of thought process?
Again, boring answer, but it's a bit of both. You kind of want to get as many as much FPS as you can get, just because this game is prone to being very CPU heavy and very performance performance heavy, because of just the sheer volume of things that are spawning. This game does not like it when you fill it up with too much stuff.
Right.
So for a lot of computers, it's best to just crank those settings down as low as you can get them. I run everything on low. But that's also because I'm not too fussed about graphics. Things are pretty to me regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I was running things at high, I would get FPS tearing and things like that, and it would be very hard to play.
Well, there you go. None of your answers are boring. They're all very informative. I feel like I've learned more today than I have in my 850 hours of Vermintide play. So the brain grows. The little gray cells are highly active, and as you're as I said, hybrid role between lore master and master engineer, you're doing a great job.
That's the power of Zinch.
That's the power of Siege. Praise Siege. I should say that actually. Corn will get jealous, and we'll have a whole kerfuffle on our hands. Don't need that, but it looks like it might be a patrol just up the road there. I'm not entirely sure. No, just a couple of marauders out for a night stroll, but they will be dealt with. We'll go ahead and take a look here over on the side of Stairs Go Down, because they are currently fighting a Storm Fiend. Yet another Storm Fiend on the day. We have seen now, I think this is our 5th or 6th Storm Fiend, maybe even more than that. But they are trying to bring it down and having a little bit of trouble because of the terrain that they're in at the moment. If they can just clear some of these enemies around them, I think they can probably double back here and go into traditional beatdown positions, which is definitely what they're looking for. The wall coming out right there to just disrupt that Storm Fiend for half a second, continuing to apply that range pressure, slowly but surely wearing it down. More and more enemies, though, piling into this caldera. They really can't avoid too many of them for too long, so they will have to do a little bit of mob clear here before they can move back in and start the work. The flames coming out there, though, singeing the Sister of the Thorns just a little bit. The wrong type of green flames, the ones that you don't want to see. And a flame rat decides to drop in and help as well. And hey, why not? A gas globe would also add to this conflagration, as that is just more green than a Chicago St. Patrick's Day parade right there being demonstrated for us on the screen as they maybe try and put up a wall. Wow, that is just a lot of fire and gas and all sorts of horrors. Modern Warfare illustrated perfectly well in this particular scenario, but it looks like they might just be able to go ahead and finish it off. No, every time I say that, though, there's something that's standing in the way, and oh no! Oh, the Sister will go down, and they will not survive for more than a split second. Are we about to see, Incan, our first Storm Fiend victory over our intrepid heroes today?
He's pulling for that pay raise.
He wants to be the standout. He knows that all the other Storm Fiends have gone down, and he's like, no, I was built for this. This is my time.
The Fiend to rule them all.
The Fiend to rule them all. They're desperately trying to make this one work. They've still got, two team members up, so they have lost yet another body here. It's just the Witch Hunter and the Unchained still in the mix. The Gun Rat now trying to get involved there, kind of pushing them back into a corner. It's not a particularly great place to be. The Witch Hunter there taking a hefty blast. Down goes the Unchained. Down goes the Witch Hunter captain, and the Storm Fiend finally has achieved victory today, and that will be the first Storm Fiend I think that we've seen actually be successful on stream.
He is just built different.
He's just built different. The Sigmar male Stormfiend right there at the top of the list. It is the top of the hour, by the way, folks. We are entering our last hour here on the game. Just so you know, the tournaments here playing in T1 have been doing a spectacular job. And, of course, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's been involved in making the Onslaught series function. It really is a truly spectacular, great, fun time. There are so many people working behind the scenes to make this go. So big ups to all of them. And I'd like to remind you as well that we do have friends in the Vermintide community who have had a bit of a hard time, especially with the recent flooding that occurred in Germany. 60% of all subs and donations during this 3-day event will go back to charity efforts to help people recovering from those funds. If you're wondering where the other 40% go, they will go back into the tournament series so that we can keep it going, keep providing exciting prize pools for you guys and whatnot. So please do consider, donating or subbing during this. And if you'd like an accounting statement for where those donations go, they can be provided to you. Ishka is handling everything on the back end, but that will be going on each day. And of course, this is just day one, tier 1 here, as we see milkers trying to fight their way through the penultimate event, which has actually plagued them already in Canada. It looks like it might be in a position to do so again, because that Foot Knight is, his goose is cooked.
Oh dear, yeah, this is a very tight spot to push through. You have to be, as soon as you drop down that ledge into the event, you are on a very, very harsh timer. You have to get straight to either the barrels or to the kite loop, whichever one you're choosing to do in terms of strategy. It looked like the strategy they tried to do last time we saw them was to just sort of death ball their way through with the barrels as a group, and we saw what happened there, where they got caught and sort of cornered and gassed out. Whereas now it looks like, because they've lost the Foot Knight, they've opted for moving to the kite loop, but they're already a man down and they're kind of bleeding out here, so we'll see how they go. But if they can maintain this kite loop, they'll be able to pick up the Foot Knight, who will spawn roughly where they are right now. Yeah, we see that.
He's there. They will get him back up.
And now that this wave is out, they'll have to either choose if they wait for another wave or if they decide to go and just try and push for the barrels. The other strat here is they could send the Shade if they wanted to, and just use the invisibility with a potion to just card barrels around while the rest stay in the kite. Because even if you send one person out to just sort of kamikaze rush barrels, even if they die, you can just kite in that loop and pick them up. But obviously that takes a lot of time, and attrition is a risk. So we'll see how they go with that. It looks like they're opting to do another loop.
Well, by the way, thank you very much, Zafio VR, for your sub. That is very much appreciated. Thank you for your donation, and I promise you all that will be put to a good cause. But it does look like you provided some interesting sort of strategic perspective there, Incan, because there are a couple of ways to skin this particular rat, and they've kind of maybe decided on one. I think they're still basically now going for, grouping up around the barrel and trying to make it go. But it is a challenging little bit of a conundrum, especially on this difficulty level. They've got a good funnel here, I think, but they have managed to get through this penultimate challenge, assuming that they can fight their way out of this. The Witch Hunter captain, though, getting absolutely annihilated on that frontline position. Oh, wait, no. I thought he was annihilated, but is he still alive? I'm a little confused. Oh, they got him on the res. They got him on the res. Yeah, okay, there we go. I saw him go down, and then I see his health bar is at 0, and I was like, oh, he got 8. But no, they got him back up. A little bit of a glitch right there. But the Rat Ogre will try and rectify that situation. Looks like it's ready to do some 8ing of its own as it pushes them here through this res area. They just keep booking up. And thank you very much, by the way, to the anonymous gifter there who gave that tier sub 1. Very much appreciated. And they continue to try and just escape this scenario now. The Rat Ogre, of course, providing them with that extra layer of difficulty on this mix, and he just comes slamming in those meaty fists, trying to drop one of the team members here. But again, the Foot Knight CC continues to just be so good. Honestly, again, at really helping them out. I think it's actually put them into bully position here for this Rat Ogre, and they can just go ahead and finish it off as easy as you please.
Yeah, they've cleared up now, and now it's just a matter of, bullying. It looks like the Chaos Spawn and that one Stormfiend have been the only bosses to really not have to get this treatment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe there's been a handful of bile trolls on Righteous Stand that escaped with their giblets uncooked, but that was mostly just a practical consideration, and not because they couldn't do it to them. But another team has actually reached this stage. We'll take a look here at Sigmar Male Grindset, who have actually managed to get to the War Machines as well, and they are currently working their way through this. One of their team members is down. That is their Ranger, who got dropped, but it looks like they are making efforts to rescue him. A little bit of a dangerous situation here for the Foot Knight. I think the Battle Wizard is a little bit low. The attempted res there for the Ranger will succeed, so they will get him back in action, but that Flame Rat continuing to just be an absolute pain right here as they kind of fight their way around this central warp invention. I don't actually really know what that is. Warp power center, warp pump, one of those things. But a bit of a difficult spot to be in right there, if I'm honest. Incan, though, the shade usage right there, unfortunately not successful, or not shade, handmaiden usage. What do you make of the handmaiden kind of in this position? What should they be doing?
Well, the attempt to move the barrel was the right play, but it got lit up. So, but the handmaiden is very, very good for putting these barrels into the objectives, while the rest of the team does not necessarily have to be anywhere too dangerous. Where the team is right now, and the way that they're doing this, is very messy, to say the least. What they're like with that overhead coming into. Goodness, I am not having good internet today.
Oh, well, they will continue to fight here. They're a little bit underneath this boardwalk, and, well, there's another body down added to the pile. The attempt to get in there and maybe get the res will come through, but it will not work. The assassin diving in on the backside takes the handmaiden down, and that will be the end of that run there. We'll go ahead and take a look at the Rat Bonkers now, who are doing a pretty good job here of fighting their way through Righteous Stand. I believe this is maybe their second attempt at the map. It's been a bit of a rough start, but now they seem to be hitting their groove, at least temporarily. They've got, for consideration here, a couple of ults they could use in this scenario. They are the team that is running the Engineer as well, and he is in this general area to help them out. The Berserker there coming up over the top of Lip just is met by a face full of spites, and will drop there for his troubles. His little bit of parkour avails him none. As they move on ahead, and Rat Bonkers, they've been a little bit on the back foot on some of these maps, but they have been doing a good job all around. They've been kind of trucking along. I know they had some difficulties over there on Usingen, so they've done a good job of persevering, I should say, all things considered. And, you know, taking a look at where some of our other teams are, go down. Actually, let's take a look at their fight, because things are getting a little harem-scarum for them over there. They are in a big battle around the pond, and Nico Guardians, whose feed, I'm afraid, is just not that great. They are on their way to kill Scarrick. They have just hit the Forge over there on that map, so they will keep going. But here, with our little cunning rat friend down there in the corner, the fight just continues to go, and, well, that's not a particularly good situation. The sister getting absolute body, the Ranger there. Oh no, it can't. They just all died.
Yeah, this little bog here is proving to be a bit vicious.
Yes, I 100% concur. The bog is vicious indeed. And speaking of bog viciousness, Frogs is also in a position where they're heading up to that vicious bog. It's beginning to look a little bit like the Warrens on the last map in terms of its overall just unpleasantness.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the way that teams are getting kind of strung out by this. It seems like there's usually having a lot of space is a good thing, but in this case it seems to be the opposite effect, where having all that space is proving to be a bit dangerous.
Why do you think that is, though?
It might be partly because of the terrain. Moving through water actually does lower your movement speed by a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that on Convocation of Decay as well.
Right.
But it's also probably just because there's a lot of spaces here where specials can get angles on you, and also where Horde can kind of drop in places where you wouldn't necessarily like them to.
Right.
So it's a bit messy in more ways than one.
Kind of speaking to that right now, actually, that horde did sort of just drop on their head right there on screen, and they've done a good job of fighting it off, but taking a couple of shots to get that Blightstormer down. They will eventually fight clear, more enemies, of course, coming because there is no rest. And, well, that is a cinematic sight right there as that horde of angry ratmen come boiling over that little rock lip and straight down into the team, but it's nothing that they can't handle. That's a relatively mitigatable horde, all things considered. Now, that patrol that you just caught a glimpse of, that would be a lot less mitigatable. So they've got to avoid that as best they can here while they just continue to deal with these floods of ratmen. And you can see the quick check there from the Ironbreaker to see where that Chaos Patrol has wandered off to and whether they're on a collision course. And it looks like they might be able to bypass it here. You can see it just out of the corner of his eyesight. A little bit of a sketchy situation, though, it can right there, making me sweat a little bit, not just the heat of my room.
It's fine. I'm sure they've got plenty of hours in Metal Gear Solid to just sort of stealth their way through.
Metal Gear Solid. They're all under one very big box as they get through. Skaven are like, what is that? I don't know. That box is always there. A bunch of Bestigors. Must have been the wind, 100%. A bunch of Bestigors trying to come up over the cliff edge right there are treated to a barrage of hammer blows for their troubles. And they will carry through. And there's another Bestigor who's charging in. He actually managed to get the charge off, at least temporarily, before he's given the double clonk of doom. And another one as well. It's a bit of a clown car at the moment. I have Bestigors coming in, but they will be dropped. And I don't know about you, Incan. I still feel like Beastmen are such a frustrating opponent to deal with. They are definitely the last enemies I want to fight, right?
Yeah, they're pun only partially intended. They're pretty beefy.
Yeah.
But also, archers have to be the most annoying thing ever. I don't even have a good thing to compare them to. They're just the worst. It's like stepping on Legos when they're around.
It's like stepping on Legos. I could not agree more. And I think no archers on display right here, so the Lego fields, fortunately not present in this particular brawl, but a certainly excessive number of beastmen being present. A good little herd there, getting the double bonk there from the hammers, just trying to drive them back, and they will eventually cut their way through. But a scary scenario nonetheless there for this team, and there's more beastmen that await them inside the cave, and a rattling gun as well, but they will, have a little bit of work cut out for them. There are a couple of archers in that. A point-blank shot from the Ironbreaker there, I think, may have been eaten by the Bestigor as they just cut their way up to those archers and bring them down. Clearly, they share your hatred of archers right there, in Can, as is justifiably so. We'll take a look at where some of our other squads are at the moment. Sigma Male Grindset is currently fighting their way through the swamp, bog, pond, what have you. 8 FPS is back early on the streets of Helmgart. And then Milkers will actually watch Milkers because they have managed to reach the end of the mission. So the ultimate event here will be brought to us on stream, and we were talking about this just a little bit earlier, Incan, about what kind of the best strategic idea is here. Do you think these guys kite, or do you think they just try and fight it out?
The standard strategy is to kite it out, but usually you keep a couple players outside of the event while 2 players stay inside, and that makes it a lot easier to separate things out and kite it. And that can't quite tell. It looks like that is the strat they're going for.
What do you mean by keep players outside of the event? For those of us who are a little less big-brained than yourself.
So as you can see, those 2 very faint player outlines out there, those would be the 2 players that are staying outside the event. They have not dropped in. While these other 2 players here in the event, they ring the bell and they give the rats the do-si-do, while the 2 players on the outside actually stand and fight and keep some of the heat off them.
Oh, okay, all right. So they kind of serve as a bit of almost a mitigation tool just in and of themselves by their positioning, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a bit of a divide and conquer kind of strategy. And the 2 people inside the event, they just loop around this house. It takes only a couple loops, 2 or 3 loops, and then by the time you do that, the boat will be there and you can just leave. And the idea is like the 2 players that are inside the event should be able to get to the boat just fine because there's enough space to work with. And then the 2 players on the outside, they either make it or they don't. It's a bit brutal.
War is Warhammer, bud. It's a brutal world. Sometimes you just gotta sacrifice someone to deal with the Ratman horde. But I imagine this does take a sort of supreme confidence in your teammates to execute, because I don't know if the friends that I play with, I don't know if I trust them to survive just the 2 of them in either of these scenarios. But wow, that is a lot of Ratmen getting led around here. The cheese strat is attracting the rats, which is perhaps unsurprising. Even though they do worship bells, they still, I'm sure, are partial to cheese as well. It looks like the other player who is running those loops maybe either trying to run a little bit of a different loop or got separated there, so that's not a particularly good look, all things considered. So they just kind of keep this going here, trying to run this back.
Just keep that going. The Shade has an invis, so
yeah,
should be fine. Yeah, she's popped it. But
oh,
it's kind of just a matter of these 2 surviving, because so long as they make it through, then there's no worries. But if they go down, then the other 2 players on the outside are really in a bad spot.
Well, this is, speaking of bad spots, I think we've actually just hit one here. The Foot Knight has been caught out, is not able to keep the run going, and with that sheer density of enemies, his death is ultimately meaningless. The Storm Vermin are so numerous down there on the ground. They're actually starting to blend together, but it looks like the Shade might have actually managed to cross the boat here and will get into the circle, so it will be a successful completion, at least with one of the team members getting through. There are just those 2 other members who will try and fight their way in from the back, and well, you can see that one of them is already down. Big ups to the Witch Hunter captain if they can come up through as well, but we'll go ahead and swap over to Frogs here as Milkers have finished that final map, and it was an unfortunate loss to the Chad Foot Knight, but they do get through, and I can confirm, by the way, the Witch Hunter captain did make it. He did get through in the end there, but speaking of getting through, Frogs is going to have to get through this Rat Ogre if they want to continue here on Engines of War, and that could be a bit of a challenging prospect as we come towards one of the slope of doom here, where you tend to get a pretty good concentration of enemies in this spot.
Yeah, this area here, it's just constant swarms. Especially if you get Beastmen here, there's a pretty high tendency to just get either pushed back across the bridge and you kind of get stuck there for a bit. Or you just do what these guys are doing and you're just kind of running through the forest. And it gets very, very rough because it's just chaos.
A usually peaceful walk through the forest turned into a scene of absolute horror here. More of a trek, dare I say it. And they've kind of all gone in different directions, too. They've taken a bit of the Scooby-Doo approach to how they want to deal with this. They have eventually regrouped, and you can see that Ragged Ogre is getting chipped at the entire time. So, I mean, he is suffering just a little bit here for his success, and it does look like he will be brought low. But the Ironbreaker here with the double bonk doing a good job of just kind of clearing out this section of the Horde. The Mercenary and the Ironbreaker working very well together to give themselves some room. So major credit there on how they managed to do that. They do look like they have kind of cleared, I think, that initial stage of danger. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one of our other teams here. I believe that Rat Bonkers is now managing to cut their way in through this particular section here, playing a bit of a slow game there behind their Mercenary with the shield. They're kind of holding fast towards the end of Righteous Stand. They're still trying to get this one done, but yeah, they're doing the whole Thermopylae strat right here. They got one.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got a Gerard Butler cosplay going on right now with the Leonidas.
Gerard Butler cosplay. Could you imagine? Could you imagine just a shirtless Kruber skin and how that would sell?
Oh, mate, don't tempt me.
I feel like Fat Shark's missed a trick. I think we've just given him an idea. Shirtless Kruber skin. That's gonna fly. Give that man an 8-pack. He deserves it. Those are gonna go. Those are gonna go like hotcakes. Anyway, they have managed to get towards the end here. We'll go ahead and we'll check back in with them when they make it to that final set, or as they're kind of in on that. 8 FPS unfortunately did. I was gonna swap over to them, but they did just get wiped, so it will not be the case. Let's take a look at Sigmar male grind set here. They are pushing their way up that same sort of slope of doom, and they're doing a pretty good job of it as well. Another handmaiden. We've seen quite a few handmaidens today in Can, which I think, I don't know. What do you make of all the presence of so many handmaidens?
Handmaiden is one of the elf classes that didn't get nerfed because like
Right.
Shade was nerfed, Sister was nerfed, and so your only options left after that, if you don't want to play one of the nerfed classes, is Handmaiden or Waystalker. And Waystalker is not so common these days, so the Handmaiden is your next best shout. And Handmaiden brings on just a lot of utility. The stamina aura she has, how mobile she is. She can get up to 90% block cost reduction. She's just very safe and very reliable for those sorts of purposes.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely see that. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think probably, there's a lot of opinions, I imagine, on what compositions should look like, but I can see how she would slot in and why she would be a popular choice. But we'll go ahead and take a look at Frogs right here, because they are fighting in that penultimate event. They are pushing their way into I think a rather dangerous scenario here, trying to grab these powder barrels and get them up. It looked a lot grimmer about a few seconds ago. Marcus, though, getting buried there under a wave of storm vermin is still pretty grim. There's also a Lifestealer Witch there on the outside edge. The Blightstormer also making their presence known, because it wasn't difficult enough, but they will get the mercenary back up and get him in on the fight. It looks like a little bit of a group heal maybe coming down there to clean those wounds and get them through in a brief moment of respite there. I feel like this little bit here is the longest moment of breathing room I've seen so far on this particular event, because this one's punishing in Canada. This does not give you any room at all to catch your breath.
Yeah, as soon as you get past that first initial wave, you get that little bit of breathing room to actually push through to where you want to be. But after that, then it's just wave after wave, and the gaps are very few and far between.
Well, the hammers are a bonkin', but the flames are a chonkin' there as well on the backside, so caught a little bit between the Devil of the Deep Blue Sea, but they do manage to take the Flame Rat down. The Poison Wind Globadier throwing an unpleasant present over the top there as well. The Assassin wandering into it, though, and that will be the end of the Wandering Assassin. And they will kind of group up here down at the base. I don't know that they have a powder barrel. I'm not sure if they brought one along with them, or if they're just kind of trying to clear that initial group of storm vermin that does tend to sit around each of those doom wheels, which, disappointed we never got to see the doom wheels in action. I know they wouldn't really have fit in the game, but that would have been something.
I'm just waiting for a Doom Wheel racing game.
Doom wheel racing? Oh my god, could you imagine? I'd be all over it. Horde Rat,
Shark,
get on
please.
it.
Make it happen.
Yeah, Fat Shark, please do wheel racing. What a horrible concept. Just green lightning everywhere.
It is horrible. I love it.
It would be so good. Just a Doom Wheel mod. You're just rolling around in a Doom Wheel, shocking everything, running it over. Oh, those were the days. Anyway, they're going to go ahead and grab one of these powder barrels here and go ahead and do a little bit of a chain action by the look of it, and pass it over to the mercenary, who will continue to pass it on, and they will be cooking full steam ahead to try and get down towards the first of the engines right there. Unfortunately, they did lose the Witch Hunter Captain. Witch Hunter Captain does get wiped off the face of this earth, so he will be dead. Now they could, what are their options here? Do you just go into guard mode down by the respawn and just wait it out?
That is kind of what you have to do at this point. Once someone goes down, it's pretty risky to try and greed to push through the objective still. So usually your only option is to fall back into this kite loop, kite around and wait for the res, and then try again later. This is the safest you're going to get, and this is more or less the most reliable strat when things start falling apart. It looked like they were trying to get multiple barrels, and that's partly why they seem to get caught out. And so you really have to stabilize, otherwise it's going to be game over. And we can sort of see that happening now with things sort of all just going haywire.
Yeah, they do manage to get WHC up, so I mean they have him back in the pool, but his health is already diminished relatively significantly, and I was going to swap over so we could see Rat Bonkers. They did manage to complete Righteous Stand, but I got a little caught up in the drama of the moment here, and the poor Ironbreaker, he gets caught up by a rat hook, dragged into a pile of gas and storm vermin and everything horrible under the sun, and that will be the end of that run right there. Unfortunately, indeed. I would have liked to see them play that one out, but it is not to be. We'll go take a look at Sigmar Male Grind Set. They're fighting through. I think it is, telling, right? We've seen. Has any comp not had a dwarf in it? I think every single comp has had either an Ironbreaker or a Ranger veteran, barring one random engineer who somehow managed to sneak in there.
Yeah, it's just. Ranger vet brings a lot to a team. There's no other way to really put it. You can spawn bombs or potions depending on your build, or you can just bring a ton of ammo so the whole team has infinite ammo. You've got that invis, which can help with clutching and also just putting out DPS depending on your weapon. And meanwhile, on the other hand, you've got Ironbreaker, who is just a just probably the best foundation for any team comp, especially if you're sort of new to a mode or you want something that's just infinitely reliable. An Ironbreaker is very hard to have anything go wrong with. Basically, if you've lost your Ironbreaker, something has already gone so catastrophically wrong that you probably would have wiped anyway with any other class.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You would consider the Ironbreaker to sort of be the big tank, right? I mean, that is sort of what he's built to do, so losing him would definitely be an indication that things are not as they should be, but things are not as they should be for that shield rat either. He will get murked quite hastily. And they will, I mean, they're doing okay here. I think they've got this in a relatively manageable spot. The Globadier is hurling those globes back towards them. They do have one sort of knockdown right there, but it's only temporary as they wend their way back. And I think they still have, one powder barrel, I think, that needs to be delivered. The FOV here is messing with me a little bit, but also really do appreciate the handmaiden trying to play catch with themselves right there. That was funny.
That's getting a bit fancy.
That's something I don't even know what to make of that. I really like it. It reminds me of an old commercial for the NFL we had back here in the States where the guy threw the ball and then ran up and caught it at the same time. But looks like they might have be okay, at least temporarily. They have managed to kind of fight their way over to the other side here as well, just trying to mitigate this horde, which has really kind of been the tenor of the day, right? You try and get as many of these kind of chumpy enemies into a tight space and bring them down as quick as you can, or into a manageable space. Lost another body here, but the Handmaiden is really coming in big for this team, to be honest, and just seems to be everywhere at once.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the Handmaiden is just really, really helpful to have around. Like, you can't really complain about anything she brings to a team. The only time that there's really a problem with having a Handmaiden is if things are split up and she gets caught out on her own or something, but that's really about it. Otherwise, it's kind of similar to Ironbreaker in terms of being very reliable.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been, I think, of all the teams we've seen, Sigmar Male Grindset has been demonstrating that perhaps to one of the highest degrees. I mean, specifically this fight in particular has really shown just the sheer value that she does bring. I mean, literally, truly does feel like she's been everywhere in this particular fight, really, really helping the squad out. We'll kind of stick on them, I think, to see how they handle the rest of this event, because this has been, I think, the only team that has gotten past this, I believe, was Milkers, right? But this has been kind of the big sort of stepping stone challenge here on this map. Teams have just not been able to get past it. So it looks like perhaps Sigmar Male Grindset will be setting us up for the next go through and their chance to take it to the end. They do use the charge there. They're using all of their movement abilities to get them forward. The Radmen are hot on their heels, but they will be dealt with by the Moonbow there on the back end. The assassin comes leaping through, but his attack is ultimately misplaced, and he will get clipped instead. They are going to drive forward into these last enemies, and there you go, Incan. They've managed to blow the last Doom Wheel, so the escape hatch is open, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, now they just have to deal with the Rat Ogre that comes through, which is the final part of this event. Once you do all the barrels, now you have to deal with the monster. It's great.
Aren't you just a ray of sunshine?
Always optimistic.
Just raining on their parade right there. It's like, yeah, they did it. Oh, but then, they've got to deal with this giant vat-grown slab of muscle and sheer rage that's waiting for them on the other side. Oh, no. Well, we are approaching the last half hour of the broadcast here, and we hope you've been enjoying it today. Do keep in mind, of course, this is just the first of 3 days of exciting Vermintide action here in the Onslaught series. You are only scratching the surface as each day the difficulty level will increase. Tomorrow it will be Tier 2, and then finishing it off on Sunday here stateside will be Tier 3, so the final tier. And it does look like, speaking of final things, it is the final death there for our brave, valiant player. The Handmaiden will go down to an assassin. The Ranger, now in a bit of a dangerous scenario, trying to escape, uses the incendiary bomb basically at their feet, running there across the top deck. A clutch or kick scenario here for this veteran Ranger. Just how much of a veteran is he? He has to move away from the spawns, and, well, his days are limited. I don't think we've really seen too much of a big clutch come in here. Incan, dare I say it, I'm not sure how much it is even possible on this difficulty level, as now a Flame Rat is added, and there it is. The Disabler, the Assassin, the Chad Assassin to end it all one more time, and that will be the end of that. They'll have another go at it, but for now we'll go take a look at Frogs, who are fighting their way through one of the other difficult spots here down in the glade, the fen, the swamp, whatever we want to call it.
This map is certainly a trial.
Yeah, this part has certainly been a trial. Between this and the actual exploding event, it's really been hard. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, Ken, I can barely even comprehend the challenges involved here. The difficulty per se of doing that particular stage there with those barrels. It's hard even on legendary, but then again, you're not with teammates, or I'm not with teammates necessarily, but it's hard. The challenge really cannot be overstated to somebody who's not familiar with this difficulty level.
Yeah, like, while we've been saying, oh, it's just Tier 1, that doesn't mean that this is any less difficult, and this is still very high-level play. Most people that play this mode have 1,000+ hours, if not thousands of hours. I know I myself do, I'm remiss to admit. But
be proud, Incan. Be proud in your playtime. You gotta rep
it's
it.
definitely a rough mode, and it takes some getting used to, and there's a lot of strats and a lot of play styles and optimization to do. So when you're new to it, it's kind of like entering a whole new world.
Yeah, I mean, this map in particular, Engines of War, I think is a hard map, right? Like, I think a lot of people would be not hesitant to say that this is one of the harder maps in the game, and I can't imagine that increasing those difficulty levels is going to make it any easier. Of course, it will just get harder and harder, but yeah, you're right. We do talk about it kind of casually, but it's easy to lose sight of just how challenging this actually is. I mean, this is getting close to the peak, right? And tomorrow and on Sunday, you will see some truly difficult stuff. I mean, that's going to be just worlds above even this, but for a lot of players who are just starting out in this kind of Kata, Death Wish, Onslaught setup, this is still very challenging indeed, and it's admirable, I think, to even complete a map on this, much less 4 maps as we do have here on the docket. But hey, look, there's someone who shares your hatred of archers, Incan. Just going to go ahead and blow some heads off of the enemies down there in the valley.
That it's definitely not unique to me. It's I don't know anyone who actually likes archers. I think I saw some people saying they like them in chat, but I mean, like, yeah, I guess everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it's wrong.
Oh no. Well, Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it's wrong. Yeah, that's truer words have never been spoken, let me tell you. In so many ways, truer words have never been spoken. But doing a good job of holding the high ground right here are the members of Frogs, who are currently staving off a group of beastmen and chaos cultists who are trying to push their way up, and it looks like they might have thinned the majority of the herd right there. Again, I mean, it is a fine dance here in this game mode between sort of managing your stationary defensive positions and also knowing when to move forward and when to jump up, because you know, the pressure does not release. There is no escape plan here as terms of getting out of danger, but I do really like the way that they've handled this one.
Yeah, just this map, because yeah, as we said, this is definitely a punishing map. It's the hardest one on this list by far for today. Just you'd want to take advantage of every single advantage you can get. So all the terrain, especially, we've seen that as a recurring theme, and that's a big thing with this mode and just general gameplay really as well. If there's like pro tip, if you've got terrain to take advantage of, do it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, pro tip. Yeah, it is a pro. I mean, it is genuinely a pro tip, right? It does actually really help to use terrain to your advantage, and especially when you're on a difficulty level. Anytime that you can hit the enemies and they're not hitting back, right, is a good time. You don't need to be Sun Tzu to parcel that one out. Or I guess what's like a Warhammer equivalent of Sun Tzu that's not disturbing the Orientalist. I don't know. You don't have to be Kurt Helborg, let's say, to figure that out. We'll use him as a bellwether for generalship in the Warhammer fantasy world. No spoilers as to what happens to him, though, but, you know, like most everybody else, it's not good. Anyway, Beastmen getting clonked on the head right there as they will carry on their way. Some of our teams have actually already wrapped up here. Milkers, they are done, so we will not be seeing any more of them. I'm trying to get 8 FPS back here for you guys so you can take a look at them, but they're back at the keep. I don't know if they've extinguished the number of runs they had or not, but hopefully we will see them back in action. But the old double bonk coming in right there, very good. Those hammers going to work, just absolutely pounding away. And speaking of bonk, we'll go ahead and take a quick look at Rat Bonkers, by the way, who have managed to get themselves over to the other side of this bridge, or nearly there. And kind of going through. And I mean, I guess we talked about this a little bit earlier. We're nearly at the tail end of day one here in Can. Is there anything that you're surprised we didn't see more of?
Honestly, the Pyromancer, we're seeing one right now. But yeah, Pyromancer is just one of the things that I'm surprised we haven't seen more of, because she does some really high DPS. I'm sure in the higher tiers we'll see her come up more, just because that sort of damage becomes more necessary. But also the Bounty Hunter picks, I'm surprised we haven't seen any of those. Bounty Hunter should be a pretty good shout at the moment. So yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen any Bounty Hunter at all.
I mean, I do wonder if maybe that's a little bit of a product of this being tier 1, and that's not meant to be disparaging. By the way, it's more of just a matter of I wonder if those kind of picks are a little bit more out of the box, right? So teams maybe don't, or feel a little bit more out of the box, perhaps. And teams who are kind of starting out on the counter ladder, especially in kind of a quote unquote competitive setting, like, you know, it's all for good fun, like you said, but there's still an edge to it. I wonder if it just makes people a little bit more uncomfortable to pick that way.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's also giving up the Witch Hunter Captain, which is another sort of linchpin pick, just because of the tag bonus and things like that, and breakpoints are super important in this mode. And also just like, Witch Hunter Captain is just a really strong class, even if you don't include the support elements he brings. So it's pretty hard to give him up. I'm surprised we saw a Zealot though over Bounty Hunter, but I guess that's because Bounty Hunter is not a particularly beefy customer, whereas Zealot is nigh unkillable. So that's probably where it's coming from. A lot of these team comps, it seems like in this tier, are focused more on just sort of being durable rather than necessarily bullying their way through everything through sheer damage.
Yeah, I can see that, and you know what? I'm gonna field one at you because it's come up in chat multiple times now, not just now, but earlier on as well. Huntsman. Why have we not seen a lot of Huntsmen today?
he wasn't tweaked at all with the mod, and in order to take Huntsman, you have to give up either a Merc, who is really good, or a Growl Knight, who is also really good, or with
Even
this
a
mod,
Foot
it
Knight.
seems like Foot Knight is also a really good option.
Yeah.
So Huntsman kind of gets the short end of the stick, which, as a former Huntsman aficionado, I am a little bit sad about, but Huntsman has never had a very solid place in this mode just because of how it works. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll see the rise of Huntsman once again. I remember back on release when he was one-shotting bosses because he was bugged. That was a good time. Maybe we'll see him make a comeback one day.
Oh, one day. You never know. That said,
I can dream.
You can dream, but if as they say, if wishes were fishes, the sea would be full. But oh man, maybe speaking of wishes, I think our friends here over in the log are wishing for maybe a situation that wasn't quite so scary right there for a brief second. They will manage to fight their way through, and thus they will come to the big war engine test. Somebody in chat said they can hear your pain. It'll be all right, man. We'll get through it.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You're fine. You're fine. Everybody's fine here. We're all good here. How are you? Anyway, they're gonna try and cut their way into the central area again. Now, this I do wonder what. I feel like the engineer is going to make this really difficult because he's just not beefy at all. He doesn't really have a mobility ability either. How are they going to work around this?
Their options here are, rather limited. So the best way to do it when you don't have classes that can really dash around at all would be to kind of just death ball through it. But that kind of requires just doing it from the get-go so that you can get it done as fast as possible. So what they're doing right now is probably going for an each-way bet where they're trying to clear up and then rush, which is fair enough. We'll see if they'll actually be able to pull it off, though, because the timing is rough, even when you have dashes. So
yeah, I'm not gonna disparage the engineer pick because I like the idea of somebody trying something a little bit different and getting back in. With a class we haven't really seen today. This has been the only person who's been brave enough, frankly, to play engineer. But I do think on this particular stage, that is going to make things feel kind of difficult, right? Like, he doesn't offer perhaps the best tool set for dealing with this very particular challenge that is being put before them. But we'll see if they can overcome, right? Adapt, improvise, overcome, as somebody once said. And we'll see if they can do it. But definitely their work cut out for them. Plague Rats there getting cut up, speaking of cutting things, and a Gun Rat being added to the pile as well there at the bottom. Some Storm Vermin coming through too. All of this, I think, by the way, just a precursor to them trying to get over to those preset Storm Vermin that are down by the Doom Wheel, but the Mercenary getting sectioned off a little bit right there. I was just going to say it's a dangerous spot to be, but what a clutch play on the CC staff. Oh, my Lord.
that staff is coming up big.
Oh, that was huge in can. Somebody give this man a medal. That was perfect. The flick on was reflexes. That was all the wrist. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, they've come too far to fail now. I think they're they're quite poised to get through this because this event is sort of a colossus in a way. You really want to sort of beat your way through it. Even if you don't beat the map, being able to beat the event alone is still a bit of a moral victory. So
I agree 100%. You gotta get them where you can, right? And I think you're right. I think they're in a good position to do it. You got to think maybe the hand of destiny will reach out and push them through. Good wall too, actually, by the way, right there to kind of catch some of those enemies in that oil barrel there and get them burned. Speaking of burn, though, this Flame Rat is causing some problems. A Gun Rat on the backside as well. The CC staff reaction speed is not to be discounted right here. Beautiful stuff. Just a flick back and forth, and they are keeping the dream alive right here as best they can. And I should say, Frogs, they're also on
on this stage as well. So both of them fighting in almost the exact same spot. Frogs is just a little bit behind the times, and I think they are still in it. Sigmar Male Grindset is still in it. Nico Guardians is still playing, but we haven't really been able to get their stream up just yet. So we'll be flipping back and through those people who are still fighting. Some people have completed all of their runs and are already done and out. But a really valiant effort here being displayed by the members of this squad who managed to get through. Rat Bonkers coming into their own here at the tail end as they go ahead and make an effort to complete this event. We'll check in really quick. We'll hop over to Frogs and see how they're doing in a similar spot. It's probably not going to look all that much different except for the class that we're seeing at the bottom. They, I believe, have 2 out of the 3 barrels done. Or no, I'm sorry, 0 out of the 3 barrels done. Misread that number just a little bit on my screen. Might have just ticked 1 up there, though. And the hammers just continue to bang away at this trail of enemies, but they're caught in the loop. Oh, no, Incan. I don't think they saw that one coming from behind.
Yep, that's a spot where it's very easy to get caught off guard. You need to be moving at like a pace. There's an actual rhythm to it. If you're too slow, you'll get cut off. If you're too fast, you'll end up actually catching up to things and making them attack you from behind.
Oh, so, that was tragic.
Very finicky.
Very finicky indeed, but we're over to Rat Bonkers again, where our old friend, Mr. Stormfiend, has remade his appearance. Now, we have seen a Stormfiend actually be successful tonight. I don't know if this one is going to be the next in that proud line of one Stormfiend to put our heroes in a bind, but it's kind of looking like it's not going to be the case. He seems to have been relatively well sectioned off here. He's getting charred by the engineer over there with the Drake gun, and I think that will signal the end of our intrepid Stormfiend, and surely enough, he will go down. So they've done a good job of clearing that out, and I think that they will able to be leaving the camp and maybe even pushing forward to try and complete the map. By the way, on the side of Frogs, they are all dead. They did not survive after the death of their brave, valiant Ironbreaker, so that was unfortunate indeed, to say the least. We'll take a quick look here at a boss fight down in the caves. It's Sigma Male Grindset, who are currently dueling with a Rat Ogre. And when I say dueling, I mean right at the start, they're basically inside the Rat Ogre. I'm trying to get out. Oh, no. It was supposed to be a PG stream, but they're merged in right there with the Beast. But it does look like they're in bully position here, at least on my screen, and they should, I think, be able to deal with this Rat Ogre relatively well. Clipping a little bit on the rock, though, because it wouldn't be Vermintide if there wasn't a little bit of fun with glitches and snitches, but they will get it down and push forward. So well done to them, and I do kind of hope to see them maybe get this one through as well. It would be good. I would love to see all of our teams here in Can complete on this final map, especially considering that it is the most challenging.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful to see all the players step up to the challenge and push through. One of the most exciting things about this tournament is seeing people who like come in, think they won't do well, and they do far better than they actually thought they would. It's really fun to see that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's so cool that this also does, give an opportunity for people to maybe prove to themselves a little bit that they can handle this, right? You can handle the pressure of a tournament-style gameplay. You can handle the pressure of these kind of an event, right? It's not the sort of thing where if it doesn't go well, it's just all doom and gloom. I mean, even giving it a try at this level, I mean, this puts you, what would you say? This is kind of like the top 1%, right, of all Vermintide players. Even at this level that's at least what I would believe.
Yeah, definitely looking at the upper echelon of players. It's between this and then you've got maybe the Twitch kata players who do like the absurd Twitch settings, which is a world all of its own as well. And then you've also got like high-end weaves. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot else that comes to this sort of level.
I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt, but I do love this the walls that were being thrown up right there to hide. All the beastmen just waiting patiently on the other side for the vines to drop before getting back in on the fight. I really do appreciate that. That was great. It was like in Minecraft where you wall yourself in to avoid an enemy. Just throw that up.
That was beautiful right there, but it worked. I mean, they managed to get through that stage, so they will pass through here the ruined Mance and out. And I mean, I feel the hand of destiny here at work for the Rat Bonkers. I really do. So I hope that I haven't just unintentionally cursed them with that, as that Beastmen banner does go down. Unfortunately, the challenge of having to face Beastmen on this map a little unpleasant, but I'm very curious because the only team that we've seen reach the end, right? We saw Milkers get here and we saw how they played it. I'd be very interested to see how other people play that final stage, whether they all use that kind of split strategy or whether they try and just kite it as a group, or whether they kind of, go in all in on kind of a last stand scenario.
Yeah, it's interesting to sort of see how different teams tackle it, and part of it comes down to research as well. Like, some teams will look up videos of completions that have been done elsewhere and just be like, okay, well, that worked for them, so we'll do that. And that sort of ends up with producing the sort of meta you see with what people take and why, and what they do and why. But sometimes you get players that want to sort of go outside the box, and we've been seeing a fair amount of that with just comps, among other things. So it'll be interesting to see where players go with that, especially because everyone's always looking to find the best strat for a thing, right? Like, everyone wants to optimize, and especially for something like Engines of War or just any other event really where there's a lot of kiting involved. Teams more often than not will want to try and find a way where they don't have to kite, because kiting is typically harder to do than just hold a spot.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. But look who made another appearance. We just can't get away from Stormfiends. I just renamed the stream at this point in time. Onslaught Tournament Series Year 2, Season 2, Stormfiends. Stormfiends Edition. That's got to be 10. I think that has to be close to it. That's at least 8, I feel like, Stormfiends we've seen so far in the stream today.
Just, yeah, Storm Friends galore.
Storm Friends. I don't know if they're too friendly, but certainly they're making the situation a little bit friendly here for the squad. I feel like they are, among maybe the less difficult bosses to fight. So some of these teams have probably appreciated the fact that they've had to deal with the Storm Fiends as we see them cutting their way forward here. We see Sigma Male Grindset. We'll go over to them and take a quick look because they have gotten back to the barrels challenge here. They are dropping in again. Frogs is trying to fight their way back right into that spot as well. They are down in the fen doing their best work there, but this is a bit of a gnarly scenario at the moment. This wizard in a very dangerous spot indeed will manage to escape, at least temporarily, from the trap that they seem to be caught in. They don't quite have to gnaw their own leg off to get out, but they will get out. One of the members of the team is down though and dead, so they have lost them early on. Still the dwarf and the foot knight here to complement Sienna, but unfortunately it looks like the ranger veteran is down as well. They will go ahead and try and get the res in, but it will not work, so the ranger veteran will drop, and it does look as if Sigmar Male Grindset has dropped into kind of the Thunderdome and just been thundered right back out of it at this stage. 2 members still alive, and they're going to really have to pull off a miracle here, honestly, to be able to keep this alive.
Yeah, these sorts of situations are very difficult to pull back from. Their best bet is to try and get into that kite loop if they can, but it looks like they have been cut off. We'll see if they can pull out of this. They do have some wiggle room. They've got the Foot Knight there who should be able to keep them spaced out. But it's rough. If they get disablers at an unfortunate time, then they may very well be done.
Well, it may very well be done, it's true, but they will continue to fight this one. I agree. Disablers are kind of the deciding factor in these do-or-die scenarios. They will actually stop there to throw one of the barrels off. They do have reses available, but it looks like the wizard is going to actually just go for it in this little gap that they have. That's a bold play there, Incan, to be honest.
Yeah, not opting to go for the res.
Looks like they pulled
possibly impatience, but also maybe it's the fact that they're confident that they can get the barrel in and get the reses at the same time. Have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, at least to this point, it's worked out for them. The jump coming in right there, I don't know if they were supposed to have taken the barrel across with them or not, but either case, they've cleared a little bit of territory here, but now they're kind of getting shoved back out by the profusion of storm vermin that are coming their way. And by the way, I am keeping an eye here on Rat Bonkers. They are fighting their way down their slope to the inn at the Black Inn. What is it? Can't remember the name, but at the end of the line here, so we'll see if they can get there as the regroup does occur here for the team. They have pulled themselves out of a very dangerous scenario here, have Sigmar Male Grindset, so much props to them for even keeping this run alive, because a few minutes ago, even a few seconds ago, it didn't look like it was going to be the case. They will be now in a position, I think, to try and finish this one off as they go ahead and move in to get that last barrel and throw it through, and then they will be on their merry way. And there's the barrel waiting for them, cleared of storm vermin. They handled that quite well, Incan, I thought.
Yeah, it was a very good recovery. That bit with the barrel there, where I'm pretty sure he was trying to jump over the wall with it. That got very sketchy there, but they pulled through and they've made it through okay. That's good to see. Those sorts of situations, the adrenaline gets going, so I don't envy them. Those sorts of positions, I know too well what happens where the blood starts pumping and you start making decisions that might not be the smartest.
Well, Rat Bonkers have reached the Mother Black here, so we'll go ahead and swap over to them, and we'll see how they choose to fight this out. They've already made a key difference from the Milkers we saw earlier, in that all members of the team have dropped, so they will not be doing the split strategy we saw where 2 members kited and 2 members held off. They're going in whole hog here, Incan. Everybody is down for the fight.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what strat they opt for here, because they don't have a very good comp for kiting. Because they don't have much in the way of dashes. They don't have much in the way of crowd control either. So perhaps they might opt for trying to just hold in a spot. They do have that wall to work with. Maybe they'll do some tricky things with that I'm not aware of, but we'll see.
Fight. I think we're very much looking at a scenario where it could be a fight. I'm going to quickly flip back over here just so we can see Sigmar Male Grindset, because they are fighting, just waiting for the challenge to get started there over on the other side. Sigmar Male Grindset, by the way, just grouping up and going forward. They do have the Rat Ogre spawn, which means that they have gotten through at least the initial sort of barrel pull part of this section, and now it's just a matter, I think they're going to kite him around the base of this tree as best they can and bring him down. The staff coming in big right there a couple of times, using that stagger to slow down some of these other enemies and really keep them sort of disoriented. On the other side, I don't know if they've quite started the challenge yet over there for the Rat Bonkers, but they are, I think, waiting for the beginning of it, as this poor unfortunate gun rat right there will get absolutely massacred. He was trying to crank the crank, but he couldn't crank the crank fast enough, so he will be brought down. Meanwhile, this Rat Ogre appears to have maybe gotten jammed a little bit. I'm not sure if they're just doing a good job of dashing and dodging back and forth to keep its aggro pinned, or if it's actually stuck underneath those rocks.
Oh, they're just juggling him there. He can get out if he wants to, but he's determined that if he just stands in the same spot and does the same thing over and over, it'll eventually work.
That's the definition of success, right? Just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm pretty sure that's that. Not the definition of something else.
Very Skaven.
Very Skaven. Just keep plugging away at it. But speaking of plugging away at it, here we are. Rat Bonkers at the ultimate end of this fight. They are battling it out for their lives, and they are battling Incan. They have locked up here. They are a big old death ball, and they are going to try and make this work come hell or high water, and I appreciate that 1,000%, but can they do it? That's going to be the real question, because that is a density of enemies of man and elf and dwarf that should not be overstated. And considering that the Sister of the Thorn just got clubbed into the dirt, as did the wizard. Oh boy. Wait, can they get him up? No! Oh, they lost the pyromancer and they lost their elf. The engineer now just in a corner, bravely holding up his shield, getting absolutely clobbered right here around this bush. Definitely not how he saw today going when he started out on this adventure. As the mercenary,
have a word with the engineers union about this.
unionize quickly. But they've split. And they're keeping it alive here, sort of, but the disablers are coming in, and that, I think, is the big thing to worry about. One of the bodies is available. The mercenary will go down here. The engineer getting backed into a corner, and I think that probably is going to be the end here. He just can't sustain himself in the face of all that damage, all that hatred, and he will die surrounded by his enemies right there as we transition back over here to Sigmar Male Grindset, who have managed to escape from the Engines of Destruction portion of the map and are fighting their way through the canyon right now, trying to get over towards the Mance.
Yeah, that was rough, that finale there. I think they were looking like they were going to opt into just trying to fight it all on the docks, but they've weren't prepared for, or just underestimated how much stuff they did have to actually deal with there if they choose to just stand and fight. And then it looked like once they realized they were getting overrun, they tried to break out, but by then it's kind of already gone pear-shaped, and you're just kind of hoping for the best at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looked like they had I think it's Mike Tyson, the boxer, who once said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Like, and it did kind of look like they had a plan there at the start, and then the mouth punching was delivered in the form of just a solid wall of enemies, and it didn't really look like they had much of an idea of what they wanted to do right there. I mean, the mercenary went one direction, the other team members went the other. They kind of got caught in a corner, et cetera, et cetera. It was just a bit of a rough fight. I mean, I admire the bravery to try and take it like that, but it just was a bit doomed, I think.
Yeah, I'm seeing in chat now, one of their players is saying that they were planning on kiting, they just took too long to get the actual loop started, so they got caught off guard.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. I was actually just going to say, I wonder if what happened was, that exact scenario. But I mean, I like I said, they handled it, as best they could, and unfortunately, the powers of chaos being what they are, just not giving anyone breaks today. We'll be straight up honest at that. And yeah, this map in Kata in general is just there's no mercy to be had here for any of these scenarios and any of these players. But fighting through now in this tunnel are the members of Sigmar Male Grindset, trying to get in and past this herdstone here. Assassin making their presence known one more time, and this poor wizard is hanging on by a literal thread right here in Canada. I mean, about as low as you can go in terms of health.
Yeah, it's a rough spot to be in when you're like that. Sometimes some teams will just opt to just let their players die after they get to a certain level of low, assuming that the situation's stable enough, because you can just let them die, fall back somewhere, they get a good spawn, come back, pick them up, and move on. But that sort of calculated play, again, that's sort of like you have the plan and then you get punched in the mouth. So there is risk, regardless of which direction you go. But and another thing too that we haven't touched on that I think is really worth bringing up is that this is a 3-hour block. That's a lot of fatigue that stacks up.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, anybody who's ever played in any sort of, and I know this isn't a direct PvP competition, but anybody who's ever played in any sort of competitive setting would know very well that going 3 hours in a stress scenario, especially on a difficulty in a game like this, that is not an easy task. That is quite a challenge. Just the sheer fortitude required in and of itself can be quite challenging at times.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, time zones, ping ranges, things like that.
Yep.
I know full well what that's like, being where I am. Yeah, I usually, like, I myself, I'm used to just dealing with, like, 200 plus ping, plus, like, playing at, like, 2 a.m. And it's doing that for 3 hours, it's rough. It's not easy to do. And a lot of these players that we're seeing are doing similar things to that, and so yeah, I don't envy them at all. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing it myself on Sunday.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're going for a run right up at tier 3. That's going to be exciting. How are you feeling? Are you prepped?
Oh, I'm so dead.
Oh, good. Okay. I was gonna say, if you said your prayers to Sigmar or Zeech or whoever you got in your partner, but it sounds like it wouldn't really really help.
I'm gonna look like the Stormfiends. I'm.
The storm. Oh no, I certainly hope not. The poor Stormfiend Brigade has a rough day out. They're gonna have to go and rebuild the battalion after today's events. I wonder what we'll see tomorrow. It's gonna just be like all bile trolls.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a different theme for each day.
We'll get a different monster theme coming out here. I really am genuinely. I joke, but I really am genuinely surprised at the sheer number of Stormfiends we saw. It's kind of funny. That was a really odd, random coincidence that was what occurred. But we see now Sigmar Male grind set here coming up to the end of the map, and I will see how they play this one out. We are also reaching the end of our broadcast time. Not quite done just yet, but getting very close to it. I'm trying to see what other teams we still have fighting it out, but I think most of them have kind of wrapped up at this stage. I'd be curious now, so we will, it looks like, get an opportunity to see Sigmar Male grind set on this final scenario. So let's see if they use the cheese, or if they embrace a similar like 4-man rotate to what we saw the ill-fated expedition there coming out of Rat Bonkers.
Yeah, we'll see where they go from here. I'm not too sure. Like, this positioning is a bit rare to see usually. Most people sort of position a bit further up, but I guess they're playing it safe because, well, the wizard is so low, and the salt supplier is on his last legs as well. It might actually be what I brought up before with the letting players die and then letting them spawn. That might be a good idea, actually, as they come into the event, because they will spawn right there in the event.
Yeah, it's very much a viable strategy. It kind of happened whether they liked it or not right there. So the Battle Wizard will go down. The Witch Hunter Captain's still alive right there, but skating on last legs as well. So they do get kind of the forced reset for the Wizard. And for those of you who are unhappy about the black and white screen, well, good news, it's not black and white anymore. It's back to a full color as the players have who went down has passed, shuffled off their mortal coil, but the mortal coil tends to spring right back, so hopefully they'll get him up and get him going. And yeah, I do wonder if they go for the hard reset on the Witch Hunter Captain as well. It might genuinely not be the worst idea right here. I thought that rat dropped down behind him for a second. I was like, you gotta watch out, he's Assassin's Creeding you.
I'm looking forward to doing that in Versus, actually. Getting all the Assassin's Creed plays
the dream of Versus. A dream of a dream. One day.
Maybe we'll have tournaments for that too, huh?
I like how we both said one day at about the same time.
Like,
TM. we know one day. I dreamed a dream of Versus mode, but it will come. It'll be fun. It'll be great. It'll be the best thing ever. We got other games to look forward to.
2030 is going to be a great year.
2030 is going to be a great year. Hey, we're going to have Darktide. Darktide's going to be great. There's something to look forward to. Maybe it'll have Versus mode. You never know. Anyway. Let's see how these guys wrap it up. I think this will be our final run of the day, so this is it. The ultimate ending of the ultimate stage of the most difficult stage. And all praise. Let's see what they can do. Already, the puddles of fire starting to come out here, as it does look, I can't tell quite, because unfortunately we don't have the sound. I can't quite tell if the dinner bell's been rung just yet. I don't know. They did reset. The Witch Hunter Captain did reset, so they are going to get him back up and get him on deck. Those disablers coming in fast and furious right here. Those blooms of explosions plaguing that particular individual the entire time. Good little bit of dodge there. Attempt to kind of matador on that assassin, but it was not to be, at least in that scenario. I'm not sure exactly. Are they just full resetting everybody? They very well might be, actually.
It looks like they are, yeah. Which is fair enough, though. Oh. That Foot Knight had a potion and a bomb on him. I don't know if they wanted to drop him off the cliff with that, but well, fair enough then, I guess.
Oh, the choice was made, for better or for worse, but they will get him back up. Another Poison Wind Globadier just popping up there to plague the world of men. But all right, the whole gang is up and ready to go. I think it's about time that they rung the bell, and we'll see if their bells get rung by the same definition. It's a challenge. I mean, this is a challenging place, right? And it's not easy to sort of win on this particular map. Somebody in the chat earlier said that just getting to the end of engines on this difficulty level down here at tier 1 feels like a moral victory, and I think I genuinely agree with that sort of sentiment about the level of difficulty here. I'm not sure exactly what we're waiting for. I appreciate them taking their sweet time to set that up and just making that screen as obnoxious as possible for all of us at home.
They haven't rang the bell yet, so I'm not sure what we're waiting for. Oh, it looks like they're doing it now.
There we go. Okay. Well, the final event, the top of the bill. Will they be able to survive? Looks like they're setting themselves up for the rotate here, Incan, if I had to guess. Very similar to what our last team tried. Hopefully their execution will be a little bit better, but that assassin comes rolling in right there, not really helping anything at all. The second assassin comes jumping in over the top, and he will be dinked and ducked as well. Now long-range gunfire being poured in from one direction, close-range gunfire coming from the other. They will go ahead and take that down. And you can see kind of the tide of enemies starting to build up on the outside edges. A lot of bodies coming in, and when is the rotate going to begin, or are they even going to rotate at all? It looks like they might just be trying to stage a fight here up on top of this sort of shipping dock, and that is a brave choice indeed, again.
Yeah, they look like they're postured for a kite, but maybe they are just going to try and hold. They do have a decent comp for it. But it's risky, especially the spot they're in. It's very easy for gas to land there. If a hook yoinks someone out, then it's going to get rough. And now that they're rotating across the dock, as we can see, they're probably going to opt into actually starting to kite. It looks like they are.
Yeah. That's exactly what is happening. I think you're right there. They're keeping the kite going, trying to keep those Chaos Warriors staggered too with the staff, just kind of create them a little bit of room for themselves. You can see those mighty chonky swings coming in from the Chaos Boys, but they'll rotate on the back end, going all the way up into the inn now. The pursuit still hot on their heels. It's a bit of a foot race, a steeplechase, if you will, up these stairs into the inn, and the Battle Wizard, I think, almost getting caught there on a wall for a brief second, but they managed to make it out the side and down through the ruined wall. And so they will keep the loop going here, though maybe a little bit of miscommunication here on the side of the Sienna player. No, they will be able to work their way back, but an incendiary bomb was used. Plague Monks coming in right now could make things a little bit difficult. One of the team members is down. Will they get the res? They will, so they can keep the dream alive. The speed potion coming in right here. Those continued flames coming out as well. A brief charge there, a firewalk forward, but now they're getting trapped in a building, and this building can be more of an abattoir than a safe house. And it looks like we might be building towards something akin to that. They'll continue to try and fight their way out through this back alley, and the flames will clear it up. And they will go through as they push forward. Some more flames coming out there. The ship is in, and it looks like they've done it, Incan. So they will complete here. The Sigmar Mail grind set pays off in the end, and they will walk through into the portal, and we will finish our runs today on a high note.
Excellent work. That's a pretty old strat that they did there, actually, with that sort of loop around there. But yeah, I think the big thing to actually point out too, which I forgot to mention earlier, is that's a conflag staff on that wizard, and that's not something you see anymore.
No, it was used very effectively. I appreciated the massed stagger that was kind of coming out right there. But as somebody in the chat said, the grind set was on fine display right there from Sigmar Mail grind set. But of course, congratulations to all our teams today. It is not easy. We've talked about it. It's not a simple task, but they have all done really, really well. Thank you so much for participating. We couldn't obviously do it without participants. And again, a big thank
thank you to everybody behind the scenes who has made a huge difference and makes these days possible. That's you, NCAN, the modders, the video editors, the tournament organizers, of which there are many, and they are very dedicated, translators, all sorts of wonderful individuals. Thank you all so much for all your hard work. And a big thank you again to everybody who donated on the day to make sure those donations came in. Your support is much appreciated, but we're not done just yet with the Onslaught series. There will be more action coming your way. Tomorrow we have Tier 2, and then on the next day, Sunday, for me at least, it's going to be Tier 3. And who's participating in Tier 3, and Kent?
Oh, we've got some teams, including yours truly. We're going to see what we can do. But that's going to be a really exciting day. I don't think we have too many teams for Tier 3, but that should make it an interesting sight to see with some of the teams that I've seen there. They're very good teams, so it'll be really, really cool and a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, big ups to you. I wish you all the best of luck. Best of luck to all our competitors, and thank you again to everyone. I've been Korvac. Alongside me has been the man with the plan, NCAN. We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow for more exciting Onslaught series actions. But from all of us here, have a wonderful day.